Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the office hours. Finish setting up here real quick. I'm running a little late because I got into a heated debate, which we're going to talk about here because latest ISC is out and has some pretty important information, which y'all won't like. We'll get over that here in a moment, though. Let me pull up everything that I have here. There we go. Make sure it's all the way up. All right, let's get to the office, shall we? Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the office hours. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? This is the office hours. Office hours is where we talk about the news, latest news and lore updates for Star Citizen. We might talk about a little bit things here and there, but mostly just Star Citizen stuff. So how y'all doing? Hey, Nova. Hey, Robert Voss. And yes, I did watch the ISC. We're going to talk about the disappointments of ISC. And it's not what you think. I like that. I like that a lot. Hey, Ashton. You almost forgot? No, I was almost late, so. Hey, Hooded Voice. Ron's dead, yeah. The disappointment! Yes. It should be working. It might be a little spotty here, that kind of stuff. I can't actually hear it on my end, so, because I had to turn it like that. Otherwise, it'll go in twice for some reason, so. Oh, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome to Alien Week. As always, for those of you who have never been to an Alien Week before for Star Citizen, it is a bit of a letdown comparative to other events that CIG does. It's more on par with, say, the Day of the Vara. Well, not even the Day of the Vara. Like, the St. Patrick's Day thing they do, Stella Fortuna and Coramore, the Valentine's Day stuff. It's along with that. And before anyone asks, wait, what real life holiday does it accompany? And the answer is none. It's one of the more unique holidays in the Star Citizen universe because it actually celebrates First Contact Day in the Star Citizen universe, which was June 12th, 2438. So. Hey, Max. Hope we got info about Fly Without Issue. Well, we didn't. So it may it's not up on the sales. So I don't think we're going to see that ship up there. So thank you, SFX. Been trying to turn on your PC. Been power cycling for the last 4 hours, and yes, power cycling for 1 hour usually works for them when it's like this. Oof. Spirited discussion Discord today. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today as well. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the update, and then we'll watch the ISC so we can get started on some of this discussion. Now, we have a week to go. That's true. We still have until next Thursday, so we could get something next Thursday. Now, let's start with the bad news and rip this Band-Aid off. Now, for those of you who've been following me and watching me for a long time, noted that there is some strange additions. When CIG added the whole C to the release view, like a month or so ago, a lot of us a lot of folks in chat and myself were wondering why. There's two options. Number one, they have built a bunch of systems, or they're building a bunch of systems into the game to support the gameplay for the whole C, or they're just going to dump the whole C in game, kind of like how they did the raft, without any supporting gameplay structures because it can technically work. And this ISC effectively confirms that there is no supporting structures for the whole sea. They're just dumping it in game because it's ready to go. And they're adding some jerry-rigged systems similar to other things they've done in the past to make it work sort of in game. It's the Raft 2.0. The Raft's main feature was the ability to load and unload itself with its own crane and all those sorts of things. And that was just like, well, it's technically a trade ship, so we'll just use it like a regular trade ship. And that's effectively what we see with the whole sea. Now, there are some interesting confirmations, like cargo timers. I doubt that the cargo timers are just going to be for the whole sea. I'm assuming that's going to be for all ships now. So it sounds like they're going to be adding cargo timers to 320, which is an interesting addition. But the way that the whole sea is going to work in 320 is you fly down to any planet in a system and with your whole sea, and you buy a bunch of stuff at, like, say, an outpost. Then you have to fly all the way back to, like, the local station. So in Hurston, it'll be, I think it's Bajini, or is that this, whatever station is around the main planet. Get to the station, request docking, and it will, or request load, whatever. They'll have some sort of button for request loading or something like that. And then you will have you will load up over time until you're completely loaded up. So They couldn't just let it load and unload when docked. Now, there are still some questions. How are we going to sell these? Are we just going to, like, leave them docked and then unload it at the station and then fly back down to a planet and then sell them on the moon? Like, do the reverse of what we did before? Because that seems like a real ad hoc way of doing things. You sell from dock? It wasn't really confirmed that you sell from dock. You have to go to a specific location to sell, but you're not docking and selling. So yeah, we're not getting loading and unloading. I never thought we would be getting manual loading and unloading. I thought that was probably a little too out of there, and, you know, loading, like, just like having a poof in with a cargo timer, that makes sense. It's more that the game itself, they're hacking it in to the game. They're just making it work with the game we have now, rather than trying to wait for any kind of economy simulator, which is also pretty devastating, which means that we're nowhere near a quanta economy. Like, we're probably a year plus away, maybe multiple years away from a quanta economy at this point. Now, that doesn't mean they're not working on it. It doesn't mean that it's being worked on, and we might see it in sooner. But sadly, this one thing adds it sends a lot of message about what's actually available.
But you can
never,
ever take away my space game.
What the heck? My thing's not working properly. There we go.
Sherry Katsune just resubscribed for 12 months. Oh boy, has it been this long already?
Oh, hey, yeah, it's been 12 months. It's been over a year. Wow. 12 months ago. 12 months there, Sherry. You're a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very new pedestrian. This is your fault. You're the reason why I'm drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Yeah, we don't really have evidence that, like, there's even going to be usable 32 SCU boxes. They have shown 32 SCU boxes before. They have placeholder versions of them. I don't doubt that they'll put them in there. I don't know. And it sounds like CIG is running down the last little bits they need to do to get tractor beams working. So... yeah, now, I'm not going to lie. There's a couple, I'm mostly disappointed in myself, but there's definitely a little bit of bitterness for this announcement, because this is CIG basically saying, hey, remember when we said that we're not going to work on ships without gameplay? Well, we fucking lied to you. We're just going to make ships that are going to be selling, so, you know. Shame on me for believing that they were actually doing what they said they would do. They've gotten better at it. They've been so much better at a lot of things, and when it comes down to it, they still do the same shit they shouldn't have done in the first place. And anyone who doesn't call them out on this really needs to recheck their priorities on this, because this is straight up a backpedal without admitting that it's backpedal. It's on a delay there, right, NT? That's why. What companies lie? Well, you expect companies to be mostly out there for profit, and I'm not saying CIG is different from other girls. It's just motivations are slightly different because it doesn't have like a board of directors, or not. It has a board of directors. It doesn't have like like owners that are really interested in just as much profit as possible. They seem to be much more focused on getting the product out, making sure it works. So shareholders, thank you. So there's no shareholders, so its focus is mostly on getting product out. But exactly, yeah. But it doesn't mean that they aren't trying to get money so they can stay open. They still need money to stay open. They need money to keep the lights on. And whether CIG will admit it or not, it costs them a lot of fucking money to keep the lights on, especially with a brand new studio, 2 brand new studios actually, and close to 1,000 people working for them. They need a lot of money to keep the lights on and keep everyone paid for their services. So I'm not saying, because if I said this out loud, I'd get an earful from Jake being like, this is not the case. And so I'm not saying the kind of like the most overtly like pessimistic attitude for this, because I know enough people work at CIG who tell me this is not the case. But it sure as fuck feels like CIG is pushing the whole seat because it's done, and they want it out because they want to get it off their plate so they don't have to worry about it anymore, put it in game so they can maintain it, rather than having to keep it in the back end and constantly update it as things update. They just want it out, in the game, ready to go, because I'm sure they very much think that the economy system is, 2 or 3 patches away. It's not too far away. The problem I have is I also know that CIG is well over-ambitious about some of these ideas. So, like, if CIG says a figure or an idea, I generally don't believe it. There's some different cases, but yeah. Yeah, they needed that new office space. You missed something? Yeah. The whole sea is just being dropped into the game. They're not adding gameplay for it. It's just being dropped into the game. They're hacking in a way that you can play in the current economy with it. So that was probably the biggest blow. None of the other things, like the fact that the Santok-yai failed its gray box. It's like, it sucks, but it's still working. It's still on its way through, and the fact that the whole sea is done and got a lot of cool things, and it's coming on 320, that's great. It's fantastic. You got a lot of stuff done. I'm always okay with CIG getting ships done in the backlog for people who paid for them years ago to actually get access to the ship that they paid for. The problem was more of CIG never said that this was going to come with the economy. That was the assumption that I and other people made, and we were wrong. So it's a bummer. The only thing that is a little disappointing on CIG's side is that they said that they were no longer going to release ships without the appropriate gameplay, and they're releasing a ship without the appropriate gameplay. Technically, it is still got appropriate gameplay, because the raft, it technically has appropriate gameplay, because it's just a trading vessel. The whole sea is. But it really isn't, and CIG knows that, but that doesn't matter. It's done. Well, we need at least 3 systems for decent economic foundation. They could have still put something in for the, something more focused, especially with the quantum system. The quantum system seemed to be getting a lot of ramp up. There's a lot of stuff done in the monthly reports of talking about them working on things and getting more detailed about it. Usually when they get to that level of detail, it means that they're actually working through the problems with it. It's just that's not ready yet. So oh no, that's the good move there. I'll say that for sure, the tree. That they're setting expectations ahead of time, saying, don't think about this as the, this is not the economy, this is just a hack into the ship. Which is fine. Like, I get why they're doing it, and I know a lot of people. We had this very rousing argument because I know multiple people who are like, I want my fucking whole C. I paid for my whole C. I want my fucking whole C. And they're going to get their whole C. It's just not going to fulfill the role that they want it to be, or that it was originally intended to be right now. And it may take a long time before it's in there. So it sucks. It's a bummer. But setting expectations, I don't think we're going to see much beyond this year, or this year, beyond maybe tractor beams. We'll see if tractor beams actually make it in. Arena Commander updates, new missions, and the whole C. And, of course, new ships as well. But yeah, you're right. You need more additional star systems before the whole C is practical, and it could be because CIG was slow boating that thing. They were pretty much done with most of the work back in like November, and it felt like they were just sort of just polishing and polishing and polishing because they were trying to wait for the reason why the whole C exists, which is another system to be put in the game, but. Hope it looked good. Hope it works-ish. It'll work. It just won't work the way it's supposed to. That's the problem there, Robert. Just really, it's designed for a large economy system. As someone pointed out, it's like 9,000 UEC, or UEC, SCU. But we don't have an economy that can support 9,000 SCU. And it's going to be competing against the same ships that would be doing, that the whole C's not supposed to be able to be competing against, because the whole C is designed for space-to-space, long-term trucking and hauling. It's a cargo ship. It's a bulk freighter. It shouldn't be competing with Auroras at moons, which is what it is. So 319 is in the live servers right now. It was released a couple of hours ago. 319.1. Well, 9,000 UEC is economy. Yeah. It's supposed to be 4,000 SCU, but one of the leaks, one of the screens showed 9,000, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Yeah, it's got to have been a bug or a placeholder or something like that. Still, 4,000 is a lot. The economy is not set up to handle 4,000 SCU. Here's the problem there, Tree. The Breers system doesn't work. I try to get it fixed and it just doesn't work. So I'm waiting until I can get some time to sit down and work on a new bot, but I don't know which bot it is. So hold on to it. You'll be able to use it here shortly. Can't they change some numbers around? Sure, but it'll break the economy. Effectively, if you can make enough money to keep a whole C running through, surface outposts in terms of you can actually load up a whole C on a surface outpost. It means that you're putting so much stuff out there that the average trader is either not going to make any money off of their sales because the whole sea is super, like, they want to try to make the whole sea super scrape buy, or the whole sea will make $1 billion in one run, like 1 billion UEC in a single run. There's just not really a way to balance it properly because they're using the same resources, the same trading wells as every other ship in the verse. So, and it's 4,000 SCU of cargo, and there will be multiple whole seas per server. Like, don't tell me there's just going to be one whole sea. There's going to be be anywhere between 1 and 100 whole seas in every server to make sure that 100 whole seas per server in an active player base of 100,000 players is viable. You're gonna break the back end because those service outposts aren't designed. Right now they're not built for that sort of thing. Targetron, if it's 4,000 SCU with a profit of 2A UEC, then all of the other ships are going to end up being pointless. They'll be barely breaking even themselves. Well, that's the thing, though, Crystal. Whole sea, just because the whole sea can't land on planets doesn't mean it can't buy on planets, because that's how they're doing the hack around. You land on a planet, unloaded, you buy everything you can, and you take your ship, you fly back to the local station, and then you load it up on the station. So, no problem, random on. The whole E will break the economy even further, but the whole E is not coming out in 320. But the whole sea isn't compatible with surface outposts. Yes, so they've hacked it in so that you still go to the ground with your whole sea and buy all that cargo. But to actually have it loaded up in your cargo bay, you have to go to a local station. So the whole seas will be doing the same thing that everyone from a Hercules to an Aurora will be doing when they're trying to do trading, thus breaking the economy in terms of there's not enough pirates to do that balance. Piracy isn't that prolific. I don't see a problem with it. I think it'll make a nice new stakeout for pirates around stations. Kind of and kind of not. Again, expecting player pirates to be the balancing act for this sort of gameplay is not really the way I would do it. And I don't think it's going to work out the way you think. We're not going to get a whole. We'll get the whole B in 2028. Like anything beyond the whole B and the whole E, D and E are not really, like, they're not even important anymore, because once the whole C comes out, the other stuff is just bigger or smaller versions of the whole C, or bigger version. The B is the bigger version of the whole A, and the D and E are bigger versions of the whole C. So, yes, I will upvote that for UAE Army lore. Do you think trading ships will still be viable? And you think trading will be the same viable to other ships in 320? It really depends. I see CIG swinging it two ways. Either they swing it so that there's enough cargo to go around for every ship, including the whole seas, but reduce the profitability of them significantly so that whole seas aren't making 1 billion UEC. Because, like, right now, there are runs where you can fill up an entire Hercules and make 100,000 credits in 20 minutes. If they scaled that up so that you could also do that with, say, a whole sea, the Hercules holds 600 UEC or SCU, right? And the whole sea holds like 4,300. So it's several times that. It's 694. So about 800,000 in the same time. Yeah. So almost 1 million credits in one run. So they're going to have to adjust the payouts, otherwise everyone will be a billionaire, or people will literally just be able to break the economy. And I know a lot of people's like, well, who cares? There doesn't point. There's no blah blah. The point is they want to check progression. They want to follow how people make money and how to implement things like money sinks. And the problem is with the current system they're adding with 320, we already know the money sinks for the whole C, or what it's supposed to be. This doesn't really give us any idea for it. So. Now, the whole C is required for Squadron. Like, I know it's in Squadron 42, so the whole C is definitely... The reason why it was put on the fast track was because of Squadron, but... did I understand that the whole C will only be vulnerable with cargo while jumping from Station A to Station B? I don't know. Possibly. It's been confirmed that you cannot buy cargo at an outpost, or only demonstrating that at Hull C with a spindle out you cannot land. Midgards, can you give me a link specifically to that? That's going to be the case with 320, because it looks like what they said is you buy it at a station, or you buy it at an outpost, and then load it at a station. Because I have not seen any updates on my side. That's exactly what they were talking about with 320. What you're saying is true for the future, but for 320, that's how it's going to work. When was that, Luckless? Earlier today, before or after the I need a source for that, because I can show you exactly what they said in the video. No, seriously though, we do need a source. Like, trust me, bro. I need isn't really a source. I get it. It might be in subliminals chat. If you could find me a timestamp on the subliminals VOD, and I'll pull it up and take a screenshot. So that's good to know. I'd imagine the whole is vulnerable to quantum interdiction, but I don't. Hello there, everybody. For someone who cannot read, I find this very educational, entertaining. Thank you, Forge. All they have to do is make the whole C plus station only. No buying on surface. Introduce new bulk cargo that'd be ferried between stations with a lower profit than cargo. Exactly. That's a pretty simple solution. And if they did that, I wouldn't have a problem. But no, I don't think they ever showed off any gas giant planets. All right, I'm gonna have to pull it up because y'all are going like, they never said it's surface planets. We'll go watch the whole thing, but here. Okay.
And unloading is gonna work in Alpha 320. Who can tell us about that?
I think we can probably get Chris Tanks on the line. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Jared. Excuse me. Hi.
Hi, Chris Tanks.
Hi, Jared.
So how does cargo work for the Hull C in Alpha 320?
So in Alpha 320, the Hull C behaves as we expect it to. When it's extended, when its cargo arms are out, it can't land. So it can't take cargo in the normal sense that any other ship that takes cargo does while it's landed.
Okay.
So you go to your cargo terminal, you buy as much cargo as you want, you set it to the Hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed.
Yeah, so it can't spawn the ship while the ship is landed. So that implies that when you land to go buy the whole the cargo, and then you have to fly to a station to actually have it loaded. You want me to go through that again?
Takes cargo does while it's landed. So, you go to your cargo terminal, you buy as much cargo as you want, you set it to the hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed. So, you get in your ship, you fly it out of the hangar, and then contact ACC again. That is when the ship realizes, oh, I'm out of the landing zone now, I'm ready to take some cargo. So you extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will spawn on your ship then.
Can you send me the link to Subliminal's VOD? Thank you.
I don't. If it was, and I have beast mode internet.
Takes cargo does while it's landed. So, you go to your cargo
Where?
terminal, you buy as much.
How much profit can you make per SCU with scrap? Oh my god, dude. Why does the cargo grid say 9,216 right there?
If you look at the name of the guy calling ATC, you can see it's me. It's 30 USD bucks. It's a bug, okay?
It's a bug? Oh.
I'm letting it go through. I'm watching
So
some of
is
this
it-
right here.
Oh, that's how much scrap the place has. And you're just buying it all?
Cargo
That's so
will
cool.
spawn on your ship then.
No. That's what I figured. You're buying 3,000 of it. I wanted to know what the max SCU was. Does it say that?
I don't
on this-
see
on the
anywhere.
terminal anywhere?
I don't see anywhere where he says you can't. You don't buy it on the at the station or on the ground. I'll read
I
you
don't
all the
trade.
part-time SCUs. No, they're 32 SCU.
20.14 million alpha UEC is his current.
Let's see what the link was. 27. Okay, so go for a little bit further.
My lack of trading knowledge, dude. Why would I waste my time doing this? Like, if I want to play Euro Truck Simulator, I'll just go do that. Trading used to be fucking dope back when Jumptown existed, or even not even just Jumptown alone. The trading is no, I don't. If it was the older UI, I'd have been able to find it right away. But since this new UI has come out, I have not done any trading. Okay, you can always have a hug buddy, but you have to leave now. I have no idea. It's out there somewhere. Okay, so were you the one that said that this was a bug then? He was saying this 19216 is a bug. So, oh, that's exactly double of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the amount is right there, like I initially found right in the beginning, but the number didn't match what it was supposed to be, so I thought it was wrong. Stand Truck Simulator.
I'm looking through it.
Yeah, the chat wants to know about it. About being able to buy stuff from a ground station and then buying it.
Okay, you're saying
It's
you
not
can't buy
correct
from
as far as I
ground.
know on the terminal.
Okay, you're saying you can't buy from the ground. Okay.
You can't buy from the ground. All right, you guys heard it from the source.
Okay. Well, that fixes a lot of the problems that I had then. Because that's my problem. My problem was you're using the same sources as everybody else. So that fixes pretty much most of my problems with that realization. Because the way that it was implied with this was you land on the ground, because you can't normally do it like this. So you land on the ground, you load it up, and you go back out into space.
Distress bacon.
Yeah, that would be the weasel words, Kasumi. But we'd have to know more from CIG devs, which they're not. They're all asleep or on their own right now, so they wouldn't be able to tell us. And no one's kind of clarified this because. Yeah, they're going to have to clarify that, because right now, as it's sounded, I mean, I could ping Jared, but I don't know if he could explain it, because I don't know if he knows 100%. Because Jared, as much as he's a fantastic presenter and has a lot of this information, I know he doesn't have all of it. So. I'll bother Jake, because I can bother Jake. Okay, so Jake doesn't know. He thinks you can, but he doesn't know. So he'd have to ask. He doesn't. He's busy right now, so he can't really go into it. But so we'd have to know more from part-time hitmen and that kind of stuff. Yeah, he did confirm part-time hitman is a CIG dev.
Nice. I knew it, because when I saw that, I was excited, right?
I'm gonna mute it real quickly and see if there's anything else. You're saying the whole sea isn't supposed to go near the ground. Okay. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, no, I asked Jake if part-time hitman was a CIG dev, and he said yeah. He knows him, so the whole sea. So when do you think 319.1 will stabilize after the rush of patch tourists? Friday or Saturday? Probably not Saturday, probably Monday. Monday would probably be the best option. So basically what went from being I am disappointed to being question mark? Because the update was they're hacking in the 320, the whole C to make the 320 work. But if the case is no, it can only still work from the stations. Like then that's just the option. That's just how the ship works. Like that's always how the ship was supposed to work. It's only supposed to be able to be used from the stations. Oh no, I'll show you all how it works real quickly. From I'm disappointed unsure. Here. So, a couple things we need to do.
Terminal. You buy as much cargo as you want. You set it to the hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed. So, you get in your ship, you fly it out of the hangar, and then contact ACC again. That is when the ship realizes, oh, I'm out of the landing zone now. I'm ready to take some.
See those? Those are the regions where you're going to actually go stop and it'll fill up there. In the future, there'll probably be some actual cargo decks where you go out and you dock yourself to the cargo deck, and then the cargo deck will actually transfer the stuff over. Until then, they just have boxes that will be where your box magically spawns in. Now, my hope is that you actually also have cargo decks for every other ship. So it's not just the whole C that has to do this, but every other ship has to do this as well. Aces, contact ACC again. Station refactor when? Well, they've been working on it.
Extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will spawn on your ship then.
Does this thing fit in any hangars?
While it's collapsed, it'll fit in the large spec hangars. When it's extended, it doesn't fit in any hangar we have at the moment.
You can dock it though.
It can be docked at any station.
Has anybody tried to dock it when it's fully extended?
Oh, I mean, you would hit the extent of the cargo long before your landing gear touched the ground. It would not be pretty.
I think that was a misquote. I think he misunderstood or was misquoted as saying dock. I think it's more like landing. So yeah. So this comes to a different problem though. This reaches the problem of will the actual game support whole seas? Like, will we actually have trade routes from station to station that the whole sea can do? Okay, that is true though. But I always assumed that the first step was going to be magical cargo popping in there, Andrew. Andrew said, "I'm deeply salty that Elliot's we could do cargo at any time. We just don't want to fake it by having boxes just magically spawn in and then this." There's a difference between those two. This is for commodity trading. What Elliot was talking about was missions. There's no point in building a mission which the cargo magically spawns in when you still have to build a mission that will have to have the cargo be loaded onto your ship in specific locations and you personally loading it or having NPCs loading it. That's going to be a thing that's going to happen at some point. So no Cerulean reveal yet. Nope. Are they maybe saying now that the whole sea is just being hacked in to lower expectations back from the high cliff on high? Well, they didn't say it's hacked in. I said it's hacked in because it seemed like that's what it was, where you could go to any ground station, purchase stuff, go to a local station, and then have it loaded in. Yeah, I kind of want to hear what's going on with cargo elevators in 320. There's nothing specifically about cargo elevators in 320. There has been some monthly reports about cargo elevators and cargo decks getting a look in terms of design, but nothing about cargo elevators. They showed tractor beams and the bigger containers. We don't know 100% if the bigger containers are going to be coming in with 320. They did show that loading in, but again, it's also important to remember that that doesn't necessarily mean, what we see at ISC doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% going to happen. A lot of times we see at ISC is a work in progress. Like, let me see if I can't see. So yeah, let's pull this up. It says right here, work in progress.
It can be docked at any station.
Has anybody tried any hangars?
Cargo. So you extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will...
So those look like the actual cargo containers for 32 SCUs.
Cargo. So you extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will...
Strongly disagree because it's not like the commodity trading isn't also going to work in it that way at some point with elevators, etc. Yes, but the difference is that commodity stuff is available now. We can do that right now, and there will eventually need something like a cargo timer, anyways, because it's going to happen at some point. So if it's available now, and we're still months away or years away from the physical NPCs or players loading stuff onto ships, because we're probably not going to get that until after 4.0, why hold off for that thing that's going to happen then, rather than just put it in the game with the systems we have now? That's the answer. It's an answer that sucks, but it's the answer that logic that you can see being done there. I personally would love to have cargo missions that are just pop into your cargo, because I'd like cargo missions, because that's a good idea. But they don't want to do that until they have the full systems worked in. But yeah, see cargo, it's work in progress. They pop in, they look like the actual 32 SCU containers, but they haven't said specifically that 32 SCU containers are coming into the game at 320. So I mean, delivering missions between every station, mining post, and rest stop, even just for Stanton, that's a lot of rounds you can fly. Yeah, but it's mostly about building out the modules for it. And the point is you'd have to build out a module that would then connect into a system that doesn't exist yet. And so you'd have to build a module, hack it in, and then when that system comes in, rebuild that module with that new system in place, which is kind of like, they auto spawn, but now there's going to be timers with them, which is nice. Yeah, the 9216 was a bug. All right, let's just watch this from the beginning because we're already here. So.
Hey everyone, it's Alien Week, that yearly celebration of all things Vanduul, Tavaran, Xi'an, and Banu. Don't forget to say Krthak. Don't forget to say Krthak. Don't forget to say Krthak.
So Jared is confirming that Krthak ships are coming to the game. Sing it, say it everywhere. I want you to tag him on Twitter and in Spectrum. Tell him that thank you for confirming that Krthak ships are coming to the game. And make sure to tag me there. I want him to know it was me. Let him know it was me. I'm the one who did it. I want him to know.
And to celebrate here on ISC, we thought we'd check in with members of the ship team currently working on the latest Xi'an fighter, the Santok-yai. Santok-yai. It's pronounced just like it's spelled. But because we just got off 2 weeks of ship segments with Invictus just a few weeks ago, I figured we'd do things a little different this week and call vehicle art director Elwin Batchelor Jr. and lead designer Stephen Hosmer directly in a special call.
I get the real sense that from this IC that the IC isn't getting shoved in because nothing else is big enough. This is getting shoved into because nothing else is coming is this year, is grab 90% of the finished ship, shove it out the door, systems be damned. That's pretty much what it is. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't deny that. Because the only way that this would make sense to be coming out is if the economy was built around it to have it function, or because it's the whole sea is the backbone of the economy. So you'd have like the quantum system working or cargo missions, but those aren't available. So they're just throwing it in there because money needs to get ships need to be sold. They need to make some fucking money to keep the lights on. That's what it feels like.
Calling all devs edition of Inside Star Citizen, because that's just how I roll sometimes. Now, I understand we already have them on the line. Yes? Great. So, Elwin, Hosmer, why don't you give us an update on where we're currently at with the Santok-yai?
Real talk, we just failed our gray box review. That's real talk for you.
Oh, I like how a lot of people are like, they're being so raw and real. And it's like, they would have done this anyways if they did it. It's not the first time I've heard stuff like this happening. So, but it's frustrating. You can see it that they're really frustrated because they put a lot of work. So
where we're at with the Santok-yai right now is we just went through our review gate for gray box, which we failed. And it's not catastrophic. The main reason for that is because we haven't quite figured out how we're going to be doing and designing the cockpit dashboard yet. All of the exterior has been basically gray box modeled out. We have the majority of the animations finished. I'm actually currently repolishing the landing animation and in-flight animation and a couple of other really cool things that we haven't shown before. But yeah, the bulk of the geometry has been modeled out, and we're about to get ready to start doing material work and palms and all that good stuff to make it look beautiful. But unfortunately, we can't quite move on to that stage yet until we really nail down what it is that we're going to be doing with the dashboard.
I mean, that's part of the process. We want to make sure that everything is dotted and crossed. What's the expression? I don't know.
You mean cross your eyes and dot your T's.
Cross your T's, dot your I's. There you go. We want to cross our T's and dot our I's.
I need to run this back a bit. Tell us that failing gray box is a semi-normal thing.
It isn't the most common thing that happens. I would say it happens less than 50% of the time. I don't have exact metrics for that, but in this case, it's just there's a lot going on right now that we're working on in the background, and we weren't able to get the level of support that we were hoping to get in order to really iron out the plans for this specific asset. But it happens from time to time. We know exactly why it failed. Everything else on the ship works. This is just one very specific issue that we have to deal with.
Oh, we fail them all the time. Basically, there's something that's always just, needs to get fixed or pointed out. And what we do usually is we'll, afterwards, we'll post videos, post screenshots, and be like, hey, here's this thing that was wrong. We fixed it. Can we pass now? Do we have to have another meeting? We might have to have it run through it again. But usually it's just minor things.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and we almost got the pass, but it's just there's too many unknowns from a visual standpoint to really move forward in a comfortable way. So it worked. The review gate worked. It blocked us from putting in something that's unfinished, basically. But we tried. We should have probably rescheduled it because we knew that was going to be missing and there was no way we would have the time to get it in on time. But hey, man, sometimes you got to see what you can get away with and realize you can't, and then go back to the drawing board.
Don't say drawing board.
Well, it's not the drawing board. That's true. We're not going back to the drawing board, but we do have quite a bit of design work that we have to establish. What will be cool, though, is we do have a few ideas already for what we want to do. Hopefully it doesn't take us more than a week and a half to...
Artec, come on. Come on. Come on. I know that's a very common tactic. A common say is that CIG has no incentive to build anything, so they're never going to build it. They have an incentive to build it, to get it done. But we know why the BMM was delayed. It's because the team that was making it fucking left. They left the company. And they've explained this before, that it takes a long time for them to put something out there, and they'd rather work on stuff that they can get done faster, especially with new people who need to bring on board. And then after they get kind of used to, they did this a whole SEL for this. then they'll bring into the larger ships. So why did they leave? I don't know. Yeah, the team that was there left. They've talked about that. I think pretty during the whole we don't know if we're going to shelve the BMM discussion. They said the team left, and it's not unusual. The ship designer who did the MSR, she left the company and now works for Star Atlas. So it happens a lot when in video games in general, and the reality is that people who design and make video games work on a schedule of about 2 to 4 years. So having people work for like 8 to 10 years on a project is unheard of. It's very detrimental because you want to have as much work as you can on your CV, and you want to be able to advance in your career, and you want to be able to make video games. You signed up for a video game company to make video games, and you want to make as many video games as you can. Maybe your goal is to make your own video game, but you need to have a lot of experience and time. And so, it's just really hard to stay in one area, especially since CIG pays video game wages. So if another company comes by and says, say, like a 3D animation studio or any other company that does art and animations, goes, hey, we'll pay you more money for this really great stuff you've done. We'll pay you more money. You go take it. Personally, and the reason why they won't tell us why they left is because it's against California, German, like a ton of different laws. You're not allowed to tell people why someone leaves the company. So. They want to work on a game which is eventually be released. Yeah. They want to have that on their CV, their record. I think me and Execute talked about this on Inforunners a couple times in the past. So. Now recently, CIG has also gotten a lot of new people to come in and work for them. The reason why is because a lot of those companies also stopped hiring and let go a bunch of people, and CIG is still hiring because they always need more folks. So it's a balancing act.
Establish a direction, and then another week and a half after that to actually actualize the
I've been around since 2013. The Banu Men won't be out for at least several years. No, it won't be out for several years. Probably not for a couple of years. And they said why. Because it's a dead-end ship. It's a ship that has one purpose and one purpose only. And there are just not any plans to use that ship's architecture to build other ships. Whereas the Polaris is an RSI ship. And they have 3 other large RSI ships they need to build. Or 2 other. The Polaris is one, but then you also have the Perseus and the Galaxy. And so they can reuse a bunch of those assets to make the Perseus and the Galaxy. So for them, it's just better time to work on the Polaris than it is the BMM. They got started on it, they got to the point, and then a lot of the team left. Personally, when Paul Jones left, what I think happened, and this is completely speculation on my part, is that Paul Jones probably took a bunch of those team members that he had with him when he went to go work for Ubisoft. So that happens. A lot of people like working with each other. And if somebody gets a big promotion and says, I got a brand new team, I need to bring people on. Chris Roberts did that when he did Star Citizen. A lot of people he brought on were people he worked with in the past. So it's kind of things. Do you think that at least the Loner Matrix will be changed when we get the whole C for the BMM? Oh yeah, probably. Almost certainly.
But it'll be nice because this will then establish the look and feel for Alboa specifically, right? Because we do have different manufacturers, even within the Alien lines. And so we want to make sure that we differentiate Alboa. So that would be the Scout, now the Santok-yai, and any future Alboa ships from any other Xi'an manufacturers that we might be working on. So this will help us establish that look and feel for the dashboard specifically, and we will want to retroactively then add that to the Scout as well.
Name another company that casually discusses failing internal reviews. Go ahead. I'll wait. Assuming, of course, that this episode even airs. At least it's honest.
So it was awkward every single time.
It's funny, in my line of work, electrical line work, it's not uncommon for at all to have whole crews, even whole show up yards, drag up at the same time. How similar it is. Drag in at the same time. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll watch the
So,
one.
besides having to figure out a new dashboard, I assume everything else is going well. What do you like?
Is this really any signifier that they don't have a plan for any more ships other than the BMN, the Defender for the Banu? Yeah, or at least right now they don't seem to have any plans for the BMM for the Banu line. So, just like they've been very honest about the Endeavor since practically when it came out that it's going to be a post-launch ship. Because it's just too complicated. There's more shit in there that just, they need to have happen before they can get it done. Drag up. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that happens. It happens a lot with a lot of people. I've seen that happen. I'm a teacher, so I've actually had this happen in my schools I've worked at, where a principal will quit and take 4 or 5 assistant principals with them because they want to go to where that principal is going because they want to work with them. It happens a lot when people work together, those sorts of things. Thank you for the 5 gift memberships. I'm gonna have to mute that though because it's gonna go. It's not set up properly, so it's just gonna go off for a bit.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Why is it still working? It's not supposed to still work. Thank you so much for the gift of those 5 subs, though. Memberships, though. The Gold Ember. Mr. Gold Ember. If it goes off again, I will... I will dance for it, though. All right, let's keep watching.
Like so far about the Santok-yai?
I know you want that utility ship for the Banu, Paul. But I think it's still a cool idea ship. I'd love to see that, but I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon, especially after the last SCL with just alien ships. It made me go, okay, well, I wouldn't expect a lot of stuff from the aliens then for a while.
I like the aesthetics and the way that we've kind of made the wings and the thrusters work, because the thrusters with the Fury, we actually got working thrusters where they actually spin forward and they retro with the actual main thrusters. So I was getting to mess around with the thrusters and how they worked and tuning them and trying to figure out how far can I take this? Can I make them go every single angle under the sun, or...
Mr. Goldember, thank you so much for those memberships. It really does mean a lot to me that you did that. It's more of for some reason, for my Twitch, when people do multis, it has a specific multi one. I don't think there's one for YouTube for memberships. So it's not full. When it does a multi, it does just 5 straight, straight ones. It's
should I be restricting it? Should I change it so when it's in landed mode and it's in the more compact mode, should they still be able to go in every sort of direction, or should I restrict that more? So I was just getting to mess around with that was pretty fun for me.
I think the thing that I'm having the most fun with at the moment is how far we're really pushing the anti-grav tech that Xi'an have. So that's a common thing. That's going to be a common feature across all Xi'an ships, regardless of manufacturer. We sort of identified that as a core pillar of Xi'an technology. And so regardless of manufacturer, they will all have that. And then there's a couple of other things that we need some engineering support to do, but will really sort of bring the asset to life in an interesting way. We're hoping to get a lot more movement on the wings as the ship kind of moves around. So just the basic idea of making the vehicle feel like a living, breathing creature as a whole. That's the thing that's like super fun, but it's hard, man. You know, we need a lot of support to get that working, and if we can get it done, though, I think Alpoa is going to be a very unique manufacturer, because I think it's going to feel very different than everything else we have.
It sounds like the Kar-2-al is going to be, or the Santok-yai is going to be a big change in how they develop alien ships. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a shit ton of Aopoa like fighters at some point, because it sounds like they really want to get that down for some reason. Now, I know there is some Xi'an references for Squadron. I'm not going to go too deep because that's a lot of spoilers, but I don't think this is for Squadron. I think it's just because they like doing cool shit. So.
Also, there's a lot of times there are things that I think are very easy to do, and then I'll speak to an engineer and they're like, actually, that's fundamentally different than the way ships work. And I'm like, oh crap, okay, well, I guess I got to figure out another way to do it. The most fun part, honestly, about the Santok-yai just in general is we are trying a lot of new things. So we're stepping into areas that we haven't done before. And so there's a lot of risk involved with failing, essentially, where it's like, okay, we might try something and either it doesn't turn out well, or internally people don't like the way it looks, or we can't actually do it. Like, there's so many of those questions at every turn with the Santok-yai, but we've been creeping forward, and overall the asset is looking awesome. I'm just hoping we can cross that finish line to like the full vision that I have.
I believe in you, Elwin. Thanks for your time.
God damn. Elwin's getting old. I'm getting old. But yeah, it's awesome. That's a light fighter, no, a medium fighter. The Santok-yai is a medium fighter. If you're talking about the Banu Defender, the Banu Defender is, I believe, a heavy fighter, is what it's designed as. It's called. It's not a light fighter.
So yeah, that's a look at the current progress of the Santok-yai working its way through the ship pipeline for an intended release later this year. And while we've got the ship team...
Fun story, and you're here, so welcome to hell. It's my lore time. There is actually extensive lore behind the Santok-yai. The Santok-yai is actually a brand new ship from the Xi'an Empire, which is unusual because these are creatures that have several century lifespans, 400 to 1,000 years, depending on individuals and time and everything like that. So everything is much slower paced. You know, having children, doing well in your careers, everything is much slower in time. So when humanity first met the Xi'an, the main fighter they had was known as the Direfly, which is what we know as the Kar-2-al. The Kar-2-al is a civilian version of the Direfly, which it's a translation as the Direfly. But when the Hornet started showing up on their borders, the Xi'an started getting nervous. So around 2940, I think, is when the UAE Navy started seeing these ships they have never seen before. And there's a designation for them. They have a specific name, but it's not the Santok-yai, but it's something similar to that. And they realized the Xi'an were building ships to counter the Hornet. The Santok-yai is literally them studying the Hornet and figuring out how to beat the Hornet. So they've been building their first real combat ships, specifically to counter humanity, because they're scared of us. Because they're starting to realize how fast our technology is starting to go because we have such slower, lower lifespans. Humanity at its maximum range is 150 to 200 years old. That's like how old humans can get. So they have a much more incentive to speed up technology. And so it's scaring the shit out of them because humanity might actually catch up to them. So as a result, this ship started showing up. And the one time we actually got a good chance to see them is when the Xi'an childhood is like 50. I think you have a selective service. You have to go. Every Xi'an has to go into the military at 50. And I think they serve 50 years in the military, I want to say. And then so at like 100 is when they get out of the military and when they can start their lives. So it's like think of like 25, 26-ish is like 100 in the comparison. Humans are unpredictable. We adapt quicker than expected for a race so young, basically. So there was a flight of these ships that was in the neutral zone between human space and Xi'an space, the Peri line, which is not the Peri line anymore. It's the new Peri line, basically. And a stealth ship, not a stealth ship, a stealth base, a base that was not supposed to be there, but humans have built there anyways to gather intelligence, registered these ships crashing on a planet. And they were like, there was an SOS and everything, like, well, we got to help them because if they find out that we knew they were there and we didn't help them, we'll be in bad shape. But we can't just send out people to help them from us because then they'll know we're in an illegal base spying on them. So they sent word back to the UAE, who then sent out a carrier to go rescue them. And the carrier showed up. And rescue crews came down immediately because the UAE was closer than the Xi'an was to get to them. They went down and immediately started to open up like canopies. One of them had crashed and two of them had crashed, and both of them had survived the initial crash. I think there was one or two that had not survived when they crashed, but like there were two alive. And so the rescue crews tried to like open up the ship to try to get to access to the Xi'an and then like bring them on board. But unfortunately, because humans didn't know what the fuck the ship was like, while they were cutting, they sliced open a hydrogen fuel tank and boom, and killed the rescuers and the Xi'an. But one of them they managed to rescue as he got out of his ship and was like kind of trailing blood kind of thing and was escaped. They found him half frozen to death. Rescuers picked him up, brought him on board, saved them, and patched them back up, and then sent them back to the Xi'an. So this was a big kind of like good feels moment where the Navy saved a bunch of Xi'an Navy members, and it was like a good like, hey, we're not fighting, we're helping each other out here. And after that, they a couple years later, the Xi'an. There we go. Saved a bunch. One. Well, yeah. They couldn't save the others. Humans died doing it.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Monstratus just resubscribed for 17 months. Dance party.
Thank you so much for that, Monstrata, for that 17 months. You were very important, Papa, very impressive, sir. Very neat pedestrian. This is probably the reason why I drink a night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and hears. Humans die doing a lot of things. Yeah, but they could have not been doing that. But the thing was that like 20 years later, a Santok-yai comes out, and they realized human intelligence communities realized, wait, these are already ready for human development. They have been ready for 20 years. So the Xi'an had been planning on selling this to humans since before the crash, because the Xi'an think like 7 steps ahead at all times, because that's the way they have to, because their own internal politics is really cutthroat. So yeah, so some intrigue, some good feels, but a lot of intrigue. So as to why the Santok-yai even exists in the human market.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my
Ah, yes, our only weakness, capitalism.
But you can
Never. Ever.
Take away my space game.
Oh, thank you so much for that subscription there. Who was that? Shimpasta for that 14 months. Oh my God, 14 months. You're a very important pub, a very impressive Pennsylvania pedestrian. This is your fault. You're drinking that. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Over a year, Shimpasta. Over a year. All right, let's get back to this stuff. They didn't just die saving one Xi'an. They died helping forge a diplomatic relationship that avoided a war. Exactly.
Team on the phone. Let's see if we can get an update on a ship that's finally making its long-awaited debut.
Will compete with the Defender? Probably. The Santok-yai? Almost certainly. It's up there. It's the Xi'an version of the Hornet. So I imagine that same kind of area.
In the upcoming Alpha 320, the Hull C from Musashi Industrial. Hey, John Crew, are you there?
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Don't talk to John Crew about Voton.
The Hull C.
Yeah.
This thing's been in development for a while. What's been going on, man?
Well, how long have you got?
Try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Okay. Hull C, for those that don't know, is like the big 18-wheeler of the Star Citizen universe, designed for transporting bulk cargo around the stations.
The Leagues of Voton. Do not talk to him about the Leagues of Voton. If you don't know what that is, just don't mention it to him. Do not mention to him at all.
And between solar systems, we started it, I want to say 5+ years ago. We got so far on the art and design side, probably early.
On the contrary, Treesan, he is, and they got nerfed for 10th edition.
Grey box. And then the sheer amount of technical challenges with this ship became apparent. We put a pause to it. I thought, we'll come back. The teams that need to help us have more important things to do at that point in time. There was object container streaming going on. So we're like, that's more important. We'll sort that out. We'll come back to it.
All right. I'm going to reverse this, though.
The last year or so, design side,
look
probably
at this
early grey box.
smooth-ass transition.
And then the sheer amount of technical challenges with this ship became apparent.
Look at this.
We put a pause to it. I thought, we'll come back. The teams that need to help us have more important things to do at that point in time. There was object container streaming going on. So we're like, that's more important.
Good.
We'll sort that out. We'll come back to
it.
And the last year or so, we've come back to it and had to deal with all those big technical challenges for the ship.
And how's it doing today?
Dave Lobe. CIG are a lot of members, especially of CIG Manchester, are big mini fans. Not just 40K, but like hobby in general. So like I've seen them post pictures of every kind of hobby, miniature kind of game you can imagine they paint. So they actually have 3 full-sized like legal war game, like 6x4 tables in their new office, specifically for wargaming. So, wait, game developers are nerds? I know Jared even runs his own D&D campaign there. So, like, they also do D&D.
What can folks expect?
You can expect the ship working as we intended it to be when it was concepted. So it's quite a unique ship in the game. There's a lot of moving parts literally on it and some tech in there that you've never seen before in any ships. So primarily the hurdles revolved around that central spindle section that you can walk through whilst it's doing those animated states.
That's cool.
We've essentially got 2 parts of the ship that move independent, or they're animated together, but they're independent parts of the ship, and a new way of loading cargo into the ship.
I want to talk to you about that. So one of the big questions since this thing was first introduced is how the cargo loading and unloading is going to work in Alpha 320. Who can tell us about that?
I think we can probably get Chris Tanks on the line. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Sharon. Hi.
Hi, Chris.
I love Chris Tanks.
So how does cargo work for the Hull C in Alpha 320?
So in Alpha 320, the Hull C behaves as we expect it to. When it's extended, when its cargo arms are out, it can't land. So it can't take cargo in the normal sense that any other ship that takes cargo does while it's landed. So you go to your cargo terminal, you buy as much cargo as you want, you set it to the Hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed. So you get in your ship, you fly it out of the hangar, and then contact ACC again. That is when the ship realizes, oh, I'm out of the landing zone now, I'm ready to take some cargo. So extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will spawn on your ship then.
Does this thing?
So, a couple of clarifications, because people pointed this stuff out, and then there was at least one person, a staff member, that said, no, this is not the case. I thought the idea that you could purchase this at any location on the ground, because that's what it seemed to imply, is you purchase it, and then you go to a station, and then it gets loaded up. And I was like, that's just going to break the economy. It's not what the whole sea actually does. It feels very hacked in. But what was clarified is, no, the whole sea cannot buy at any landing zone. It can only buy at stations. Apparently. That may not be true. So it really depends. And the one thing that this does confirm 100% is cargo transfers, which is nice, and cargo timers, which is a good thing. But if you listen, it says landed in the hangar. That's true, but there are hangars on the ground too, even with Orison and those kind of places as well. Or not Orison, New Babbage and Lorville and stuff like that have hangars as well. But yeah, but they said you specifically, at least part-time hitman who works for the ISC team said specifically you cannot buy on planets. You can only buy on stations. And part-time hitman's the one who does a lot of the footage for ISC. So thank you, part-time hitman.
Thing fit in any hangars?
While it's collapsed, it'll fit in the large spec hangars. When it's extended, it doesn't fit in any hangar we have at the moment.
You can dock it, though.
It can be docked at any station.
Has anybody tried to dock it when it's fully extended?
Oh.
That's also a confusion. I think what what Jared was referencing is landing it while it's fully extended.
I mean,
this response.
You would hit the extent of the cargo long before your landing gear touched the ground. It would not be pretty. Well, I mean, somebody will have done it, and it will have been a magnificent explosion, but I wouldn't recommend it.
All right, so we've been looking at images of the new Hull C. It looks fantastic. Which one of you is going to talk about how it looks?
Probably Ben.
You don't have Ben back here, do you?
Hello.
Take a seat, Ben.
Hello, Jared. How are you?
There's no way they're letting me do this with the episode ever again. Ben, talk us through it. The Hull C looks great. It's been a while getting there.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
So as John mentioned, it's been in development for a while. We kind of stepped on it and stepped off it, depending on what tech we needed. I think, in our game we talk a lot about kind of gold standard, but really with the Hull C, it's kind of like current standard. So what we want to do is make sure that when we release the ship visually, it ticked all of our kind of current processes, and it kind of really was on par with everything else that we put out now compared to where it was kind of back in the day. I think some of the
Ben looks like he sleeps 2 hours a night. So like every other programmer I've ever seen in the history of my life, I've never seen a programmer that looks like they live healthily. Not while they're programming.
Kind of update we've had to do to kind of maintain it over the years is just the kind of like the simple things like we now have a lot more interaction in the ships.
And yes, that means you in chat right now. If you're a programmer, I'm calling you out.
Which we never had back when it was first started. So making sure all the panels are accessible and open and closed and
VTubers.
Make sure.
Especially VTubers. VTubers have the worst lifestyle. And I'm calling you out, Stelline.
All the dashboards, all interactive, and all those fun things that everyone's used to now.
What are some of your favorite parts? What are things that people should look out for visually?
I think, to be honest, the ship is a very industrial ship, and it really kind of feels that way. There's some like little things that I just love, like the main kind of airlock entrance into the ship feels really big and chunky and strong, which I think is needed on something so industrial. And that kind of industrial language kind of flows throughout the ship. I think my kind of main favorite place is engineering in the rear. The whole rear of the ship is kind of dedicated to really encompassing that idea that you are on a big workhorse. There's big engines, there's massive pipes. It feels really kind of like nice and moody and a little bit dangerous. And I think that's kind of really helps.
I did the math as well. I think 4,608 SCU is what we'll have. It does show. Yeah, that's the 9216 has been confirmed as a bug. It's just a bug. That's all it was.
Sell what's going on the outside of the ship. but inside.
Well, that all sounds great. So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Santok-yai is still
very Starfarer without the problems with the Starfarer, so it's nice. I like the addition of that.
Making its way through the ship pipeline for an intended release later this year. What are you doing? That the whole sea looks great, and it's intended to arrive in the upcoming Alpha 320 with modified cargo loading and unloading. That inviting people into your ship and calling people for an interview less than an hour after they failed their go-no-go is either the best thing or the worst thing that you can do, depending on your point of view. And that it's Alien Week, and you should check out the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website and socials for all the various promotions, activities, and contests that usually go along with it. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee with Chris, John, and Ben. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week. Almost certainly back to the regular format.
Did you put black screen? There you go. I thought so.
So, I'm just gonna get going.
Cheers, Jared.
Bye.
Bye.
They have about as good pathing as the NPCs do.
That's it? Damn.
Only bar citizens can ban new friends. Yes, I know. I still live here. I'm still live here. The Ferris Bueller sign-off movie. He's done that before. That's it. Go home. That's the end. I think he did it at the end of the first all-live CitizenCon, so. AstroPub, also, the way that they showed the loading the whole sea does not make you more or less confident about getting support features like for the whole sea, like cargo decks in 320. I don't think we'll see cargo decks. I think we'll see digital cargo decks like they showed there. Because that even said in the HUD, a cargo deck. So I don't think we'll have cargo decks in the same way. I don't think we'll see cargo elevators. We might, but almost certainly we're going to see cargo timers with 320. That's what it really confirmed. So the biggest thing I was concerned with was being able to load and unload from the ground. That was like, that's going to break the whole point of the whole sea. The whole sea is purely a space, like, major cargo vessel. So what? I saw Ellen. Who's saying Ellen C saying something? When did Hull C become an alien ship? It's not. It's just they had an update on it, so they wanted to say it because they didn't have anything else. Do we contact ATC or can we sell at Lagrange stations? You can, you contact the ATC. You can sell it at Lagrange stations too, I think. And at the cargo decks. There's going to be two. There's going to be ATC and the ATC cargo deck that you contact. So you possibly use an SRV to load a whole sea in Matmo? Possibly. But I don't think it's going to work that well. True, alien MISC ships do have alien influence, though the whole is a pre-Xi'an agreement, is what we'll say. All right, so I've got all the things up. I'll be right back, chat. Don't go anywhere. I got to get some more water because we're going to go through the Squadron 42 monthly report and the roadmap update so we can get a little more information. But yeah, it was on an alien ship, so that's why I'm asking. That been mentioned before. The tech was not seen before. Yeah, I think it was just more they had it available, so they talked about it because otherwise they probably didn't have anything else to talk about. So it would have been pretty short. Be right back. Mute your if you're on YouTube, mute because it's going to go out. Okay.
everyone.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy. I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I'm fly. I'm pilot. I'm fly. I'm pilot. I'm pilot.
Bounty hunting is a complicated.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Cajitas wares. You have course.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Cajitas wares. Cajitas wares. Cajitas wares. You have course.
Good news, everyone.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I'm pilot.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
It was at this
I'm
moment
just an
that
old-fashioned
he knew.
cowboy.
He fucked up.
2 words. Distressing me.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Two words. Distressing me.
Good news, everyone. I'm fly. I'm pilot.
Distressing me.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
All right, I'm back. No more fun. Turn off the fun. Stop it. How much cargo with the cargo variant of the Galaxy compared to the whole series? Let's take a look.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever take away my space game.
Sandy Sanderson just resubscribed for 12 months. Better late than never. How's it going?
Thanks so much for that 12 months of support there, Sandy. You are very important, pupper, very impressive, Mr. Very pedestrian. This is your fault. The reason we're drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. It's going good. It was going bad when I started because I was really upset at myself more than anything. And like, damn it. I got myself believing that things were happening and they didn't. And then a bunch of people were like, no, Paul, you're a moron. Listen to what they're saying, and here's a CIG dev that confirmed this. And I was like, oh, I feel better now. I feel a lot better now. No, that's a bug. That was confirmed as a bug. It was just a visual glitch. It's 04608 or something like that. Yeah, it's intentionally like that target drone. It's intentionally like that. The Galaxy Cargo variant only holds 512 SCU. So the whole C holds 4,608. I don't know what the number version that's like. I'm gonna go off the back of my gut instinct and be like 8 times the amount that the Galaxy can hold. The Ben Mershman is not that much either, and that may have changed. because it's also changed over time. 2,880 SCU. So about half of the whole C. Why did you buy a whole Bergen Merchantman, though they just paused development? Because you like it. You like a ship that ages with time, that gets better with time. I have a Merchantman back when it cost $250. I bought it the first run of its concept sale. I still have it. So the general rule of thumb in my experience with ships, especially big ships, is that the longer you wait, the better they become. They'll be better made. They'll have better overall. They'll have more stuff in them, meaning they'll have more complete stuff in them. They'll look better because the designers are getting better at what they're doing. So. Are they good target drone or are they bad? Or is that a sarcastic or an actual, like, I love ASOP terminals. Aegis Vulcan aging well then, like a fine wine. Curious whether it would be better to go with a Galaxy or a Whole B for solo play. Whole B, probably. Galaxy's going to require at least, it's like a 2 or 3 person crew. Galaxy is 6 crew. So yeah, I'd go with a Whole B. That's a solo ship. Especially if you're going to do trading or cargo running. Not trading, but cargo running. Paul, can't the whole sea interior be used to help build the Odyssey? Yes, it can. Basically, all the large MISC ships, including the other whole series, and there's one that I'm missing. The Endeavor. And the Starfarer rework. Yeah. Well, I love saying the longer it takes, the better it's going to be. I mean, that's the case. Generally speaking, are the ships that are coming out now better than the ships that came out 4 years ago? In terms of like their design, their look, their functionality. I wonder if the Banu appreciate wine. They do appreciate wine. They love them some wine. Oh my God, dude, the Banu loves. They love all types of wine, even the cheap shit. Like they like the stuff that wine turns into. I don't even know what it's like. The mash. They eat that shit for all the time. They just love all food and non-foods that are technically food. Oh, they love them some cheese, especially like the more rotten cheese it is. Wine to the side of human. Banu have absolutely insane tolerance for food. They can take poison. Human poisons do not hurt Banu. They're immune to human toxins and poisons. Something that would kill a human instantly, the Banu just like, spicy. A hint of walnut. I like this. What is this? That was cyanide. Perfect. No notes. They just work on a different level. Almond, thank you. Almond. You got what I was joking about, yeah. What do Vandal appreciate? Sludge. Gray goop. That's what they appreciate. That's what they eat. Literally built difference, those Banu. Maybe a lot of stuff that's toxic to animals. We breathe something that's toxic. Oxygen. Do their poisons not work on us? No, they work on us. Chocolate will probably kill them, though. Yeah. Well, it's funny. You say, I love the crunch of these glass shards. A Banu would drink an entire bottle of wine and then eat the bottle. Like, not unheard of. The first Banu that humanity ever met, Jerry, which his name was Njeri, but he kept saying Jerry, and so they went, Jerry. It's like, okay, cool, I'm Jerry now. He just accepted that. That was his name then. That's his name now. That's how cool the Banu are. It's like, that's my name now. Thank you. They tried to figure out what he would eat, so they brought in a plate of a bunch of different foods, and they laid it all out before him. And he ate everything, including the wrappers. So he didn't know to unwrap the food because he didn't know that was what you did. So he would just take packaged food and just eat the whole thing, and he was fine. Even the plates. I don't know if it's the plates as well, but I wouldn't be surprised. It is fucking Banu. If I made I Heart Jerry shirts, would you all buy them? Paper? It's just cellulose. We eat celery. Yeah. Do they find anything particularly poisonous to us more exciting than others? Not that I know of. Most of their food is like they love flavor and texture. So anything that can give them a different flavor and texture, they're down for. And holy shit, do the Banu party. Like, they get smashed off their ass at the end of every day. Like, they throw down like there's no tomorrow. And then get up the next day without a hangover and go to work. It's actually said in the guide that I've been reading through that you need to pace yourself around the Banu because you will wake up with a hangover. So they love that hot sauce and the bottle that it comes in. They also love themselves some hot. They love hot springs. They love karaoke. Like, humans introduced them to some shit that they just love, like karaoke, Sada ball. They had gambling before, racing. That was kind of there before as well. They love sensation. They love to experience life in every sense of the word. They're all about that. Sounds very Slanesh. Jerry, the first one, Yubi. Jerri. His actual name, or say their actual name, because they don't just not have the concept of gender. They literally have no biological sex, or anything like that. They're kind of like worms. They can, like, doesn't matter who or what, they can just kind of swap and just choose who's going to carry the child and who's not, kind of thing. Unisexual, I guess that's the way it works, yeah. They don't have sexual dimorphism. I don't know exactly the term for it. When I talked to Jail about it, he said there's like a term that he would use for it, because it's not hermaphroditic. That's not really the right word either. It's something different, because it's just how they're built, literally. They are Groot, yeah. But they can't, like, one Banu can't just reproduce. They need two Banu to reproduce. Asexual reproduction, I guess so. I tend to lean on the idea that the Banu are actually evolved coral. Like a coral-like species that just gain sentience and hands. Oh no, Banu have sex. They have sex a lot. Well, not a lot. They're not into sex as much as humans are. They tend to see it as not really a good pursuit because it doesn't give them a long-term asset. A Banu is always trying to make a deal. They're always trying to make money or to gain some advantage. But they're also very communal. So if, for instance, you work with a Banu and that Banu gives you a discount, be like, hey, we've worked together, we've done some cool stuff, I'll give you a discount to my shop. they expect you to give them a discount in their shop. In your shop, basically. Like, they're very friendly. They're like fucking, they've got, what did my wife used to say? Golden retriever energy. They have very golden retriever energy. They live to please. But there's a catch. There's a price for everything. So, Banu lived to about 43, 44 years old. Outside, the oldest living Banu that humans have heard of is 63. So they live fairly short lives. Monomorphic gender? I don't know what the term would be. Like I said, no long-term asset. Does how does a Banu a babu sound? Like a baby? Baby Banu? Babu. I like that term. Babu for baby Banu. Babies are plant, generally speaking. Because babies are also sold off. They're sold into rearing sulis pretty quickly. But generally speaking, you'd have a suli that's formed that's for the purposes of making babies. And then those babies would then be sent to a rearing suli, sold to a rearing suli immediately. The rearing suli would then raise them up, teach them everything they need to know, and then would sell them to an apprenticeship. And then the apprenticeship would then teach them everything they need to know in the specific field they do. And then once they've reached the end of their apprenticeship, they can choose to stay with the suli that they're part of, or they can leave and go to another suli or form their own. How do the alien races get along? I was going to do I was going to do a video on that, but the basic gist is the Vanduul are okay with the Banu and the Xi'an. Only kind of. They're more okay with those two species than they are with humanity or the Tavaran. Oh my God, do not get me started on the Tavaran Vanduul. They will fucking throw hands instantly. Doesn't matter if the Tavaran is in the UE or not, they like to fucking fight Vanduul. Oh God. Like every time I've heard of an encounter between a Tavaran and a Vanduul, it's like sticking two rabid dogs in a cage and having them go at each other. Usually the Tavaran wins too, so it's one thing. Isn't there a Banu planet in Vanduul space? Not really. There are Banu who can trade with specific Vanduul group or groups, which are less hostile. Not friendly, less hostile. The answer is always violence. Banu and the Xi'an have a very good relationship. They have very good trade relations. The Banu and humanity have very good trade relations. The Xi'an and the Banu have very good trade relations. The Xi'an and the Vanduul, they trade, but very, very minorly. The Xi'an think of the Vanduul as barbarians, as backwards, and the Vanduul think of the Xi'an as cowards. So like they don't get along unless they absolutely have to. Then they throw hands. So Banu just love everybody, man. As long as you can give them money, they're fine. Or resources. Wait, if Banu lived to about 40 or 50, 45, why do they have generational ships like the Merchantman? That's a good question, because that was actually old lore. Merchantman was originally seen as a generational ship passed down to generations, but then since they came up with the concept of the Suli, the Banu Merchantman is less of that. They haven't fully updated it, but my guess would be that the new lore for the Merchantman would be that it's passed down from Esso Suli to Esso Suli. But well, it's not that you can just show something a Banu that's something new. What I've learned in looking at it is that they look for things that are useful. Nothing in Banu society is pretty. The Banu do not have the concept of art. The closest thing the Banu have to art is a word that basically means marketing. They do not appreciate art. They appreciate craftsmanship and utility, but not art. But they love colors because they love sensations, but also because those colors attract the eye and get you to pay attention to their stalls. They'll wear some very fabulous clothing because they want you to pay attention to them while they're doing negotiations. To humans, it can be sold, but it has no use for a Banu. A painting is pointless to a Banu, and especially not there's a price of stuff. Varn would throw hands with a ham sandwich, I swear. Yes, they would. That is their culture. Was wondering about the one how one can join your org. I applied as Red Haze a few weeks ago. I just haven't been able to go through. I don't go through that a lot because we haven't had a lot of people, but I'll go through and add you there, Peruna. You're good. It's not art, it's advertising. So do they not care about things that are just valuable if there's no utility? Basically. There has to be some utility for them, either in a negotiation tactic or as part of their sales pitch or part of what they do. Do the Banu loves NFTs? No, a Banu would not like an NFT because it has no value, of no practical value for them in what they do. It's just a commodity. Banu or Master Yogurt from Spaceballs. Merchandising. If they could eat the NFT, I'm sure they'd enjoy it, but I don't think they'd pay that much money to eat a wrapper. So the whole display of wealth thing is old lore now, basically. Wealth is still important. It's still important to the Banu society. It's just, it has to have a purpose in displaying that wealth, as a way of displaying power and prestige over other Sulis or the rest of your own Suli, as a way of kind of gaining influence with other people. Yes, but not really as a opulence for the sake of opulence. Banu are like the Ferengi traders that learned to build ships from the Pakled. Kind of, yeah. Are they like the Solarians in Mass Effect, shorter lifespans but higher metabolism, so they don't have to sleep as much? That's true. Actually, that's very true. They don't sleep. They catnap. That's why they don't have a lot of beds. Actually, I don't think they have any beds. Yeah, I don't think the Banu have beds. You just kind of rest on a couch for a couple of hours and you're good. Or like a couple of minutes here and there. So instead of having one big sleep, they sleep like 20, 30 minutes throughout the day, every couple of hours. The BMM's beds are not designed for the Banu. They're designed for humans and Xi'an. Yeah, because every Banu ship is designed to have multiple species as crew because they know that they probably will hire them as crew. Or acquire them as crew. Banu the t-shirt, Banu the lunchbox, Banu the action figure, Banu the flamethrower. So now that I've described Banu culture to you, let me show you Banu culture and the most Banu culture thing I have ever seen CIG ever do.
Are you tired of the pain of the drudgery of the boring ship? Are you waiting for your lucky day? Well, hello, lucky humans. It's us, Your average friendly Banu, specializing and excelling mightily in procuring and selling of many great and amazing ships. So many good ships from alien worlds suitable for humans. Don't go there. We'll bring them to you. Comfy human seat. Not native human. Probably. Humans love breathing. Our ship's full of atmosphere. Great for breathing. Your next great ship is waiting. We have it. It's right here. Come on down. Today, voted friendliest Suli. 3 years subsequent. Davian 4 commercial chamber.
So, by the way, we actually got the name of the Suli here. Hold on, let me get this here.
Are you tired of the pain of the drudgery of the boring ship? Are
Pain.
you waiting for your luck?
We all hate the pain and drudgery of the boring Valkyrie ship, Tree 0311.
Lucky day? Well, hello, lucky humans. It's us, your average friendly Banu.
That's the name of the ship of the Suli that's doing this. The average friendly Banu Suli. That's the name of their Suli, is the average but friendly Banu. I fucking love it. Mwah.
Specializing and excelling mightily in procuring and selling of many great and amazing ships. So many good ships from alien worlds suitable for humans. Don't go there. We'll bring them to you. Comfy human seat. Not native human. Probably. Humans love breathing. Our ship's full of atmosphere. Great for breathing. Your next great ship is waiting. We have it. It's right here. Come on down. Today, voted friendliest Suli. 3 years subsequent. Davian 4 commercial chamber.
Okay, so let me translate this a little bit. So you can understand some of this is going to require some backwards translation, and I could be wrong on this one, but I know enough about how Banu speak that I understand what they're trying to say.
Are you tired of the pain of the drudgery of the boring ship?
So what they're saying is, are you tired of the drudgery and the boringness of your ship and how it gives you pain, and it's not comfortable. It's not flashy. It's not entertaining. It doesn't do what you want it to do. It's not as unique and flawless as you would.
Are you waiting for your lucky day?
You waiting for your fortunes to come around and give you a better one, because luck in the Banu society is very concept. It's a very, very big concept when it comes to these sorts of things. So,
well, hello, lucky humans. It's us.
So they're saying lucky humans is like very fortunate humans. It's a fortunate day for you, because they say like an auspicious day. It's as they say. So it's an auspicious day, which means good morning. So they're saying, effectually in this case, like in us, it's you're an auspicious person. So you're just in luck.
Your average friendly Banu, specializing and excelling mightily in procuring.
Excelling mightily, specializing in the best, being able to acquire the best ships.
And selling of many great and amazing ships. So many good ships from
so many good ships. So like many good ships. They're all colorful. They're all vibrant and exciting.
Alien world suitable for humans.
So this one tricked me up. It's like they're all suitable for humans. So it's all these ships made for humans. And they're saying don't go there. They're saying it might be dangerous for you to go to pick these up. Let us come to you.
Go there. We'll bring them to you.
Come to you, and we'll deliver it to you. You don't have to go all the way to these worlds. You can come to your local friendly Banu Suli, because this is actually a Banu Suli that is headquartered in Davian. So this is a Banu Suli that exists in human world. So it's like a company registered in human. So
comfy human seat, not native human.
That's just a joke. But yeah, the idea that, it's obviously made for humans.
Probably. Humans love breathing. Our ship's full of atmosphere. Great.
That's a mistranslation of spacious. That's what I'm pretty sure. Is that that they realize that humans like space and spacious. They want room to breathe. So they misinterpret the idea of room to breathe as in, a room you breathe in. They take it very literally. So
Great for breathing. Your next great ship is waiting. We
doors.
have it. It's right here. Come on down. Today, voted friendliest Suli. 3 years subsequent. Davian 4 commercial chamber.
So voted 3 years. Voted friendly Suli 3 years subsequent, and at the end it says blah 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 blah. It's saying Davian 4 Chamber of Commerce, basically, as by Davian 4 Chamber of Commerce. So Davian 4's Chamber of Commerce voted them the most friendly Suli 3 years in a row. So back to back, yeah. I love it. I love it. It's about the Xi'an gas shield tech. Full of atmosphere could have a double meaning. It could also mean full of atmosphere, meaning full of, it's got a good atmosphere, kind of thing as well. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of that is mistranslated. It's like they're saying it's great for breathing, full of atmosphere, meaning it's got lots of room to breathe. You can move around in it. It's spacious and it's got lots of atmosphere. It's got a lot of taste to it, but it's a complete mistranslation by the Banu of how humans speak. Are there Banu prostitutes? Probably. There's a Suli for everything. Especially if there's a desire for humans to acquire it, it'll happen. It can also be literal. I think it's a literal translation of human idioms, is what it's probably coming from. Do Banu breathe? They do. I think part of this is me reading too much into an ad copy, but part of it is almost certainly coming from the lore team. So, are Sulis like more like companies or clans? Yes. Sulis are a family and a worker co-op. This is giving me straight up Japanese vibes. There are some elements of like English that comes through. The Banu still do have some of that stuff. Like we watching Barney. I'm breaking it down in the sense that it's like to understand like what the Banu are trying to say versus what's actually on the screen. All right? Trying to give you some lore accurate stuff. A fun way to show Banu culture of marketing that is first Banu letter that they realized about how to sell humans that company had to translate. Yeah. Trip Taker? I think it's new lore. I don't remember. Communism protected. Well, not really, because the Banu Suli is the basic form of Banu society. Everyone's in a Suli. And if you're not in a Suli, you're running a Suli. There are very few solo Banu out there because it's just not how their society works. But there's a Suli for everything. There's political Sulis, bureaucratic Sulis, Sulis that build piping, Sulis that build homes, Sulis that make bread, Sulis that build ships, Sulis that take the garbage out. Like there are Sulis that do everything. And the way that you get into a Suli is you're sold to one. Because when you're born, you're sold to a rearing Suli. So a rearing Suli will buy cash on hand, give your parents money for you. Then you stay in these rearing Sulis, which is kind of like part school, part foster home. Well, not foster home, like part orphanage. The people who run the rearing Sulis, their job is to raise the Banu children, expose them to language, expose them to different jobs and job titles, and expose them to the world. They go on trips all over the Banu space, and they meet interesting people. The whole purpose is to kind of like get them integrated with Banu society, what Banu society is like. And once they reach an age, I believe it's 8, they get then sold to an apprenticeship. So a Suli will be looking for new workers. They're specifically called apprenticeship Sulis, but they're basically like for instance, a garbage disposal Suli. There are garbage disposal Sulis, and then there are garbage disposal Sulis who specialize in apprenticeships. So if you are seen as somebody who is really good at garbage disposal and you think you'd like to do that as a career, then your rearing Suli will then negotiate your sale, the sale of you, to the garbage disposal Suli that does apprenticeships. And they pay for you to work there. And then at the end of your apprenticeship, which is once you've worked off the debt that you owe the garbage disposal Suli, then they give you the chance to stick around and continue to work for them under a new contract, or to leave and form your own Suli, or to join a different Suli, or even do a completely different job if you wanted to. Really, if you have the money and you have the power to negotiate. But everything's done in lump sums. So you don't get paid to work for a Suli. You are literally selling yourself to the Suli, but they will give you a lump sum of money as a result of that. So it's a boarding schools. It's hyper capitalism cooperatives. Yeah, kind of like that. The Suli that does marketing to humans needs a raise. They do. That marketing Suli is mwah. Is the Banu from the MSR lore in a Suli? Yeah, he's in a Suli with Dugan. Dugan's his Esso Suli. Alex Dugan, the captain of the belligerent duck. You're talking about Maz Hulan. Maz is in the belligerent duck Suli. Like kibbutz? I don't know what that is. So these lump sums, do they invest? Yeah, you can actually, it's any currency you want to, and they'll pay you if they think it's good. You have to negotiate, and you negotiate yourself, so. Dugan was contracted to a Suli with him disbanded. Yeah, they've done that in the past. That's how they met each other. Well, they again, no genders. They did. But Dugan was working with Maz, and they went to Maz's old Suli to help because Maz came from basically a hacker Suli. Their job was to like analyze data and such like that. So. Are you talking about like do they invest? Like, can you invest in a Suli? Yeah, you can invest in a Suli, but then you become the Esso Suli. No, not really. But yeah, they work with other Sulis and companies all the time. The companies that are the Suli that releases ships like the Banu Merchantman and the Banu Defender, that is a specific Suli that builds ships for the human market. There's a term for the sales, because everything in Banu society is negotiable. But they understand that humans don't do that. So instead they have what's called the human way of business, which, let me look up the title of it for it. I was doing a bunch of research for it because I'm going to do a video on this on the Astrostorian channel. Let me see, where are you? Okay. Their term for human prices is literally offers that do not migrate. Negotiate money to Asuli for them to use, and you get paid back for it at some point. I don't think they really invest in that kind of way. I mean, you could get paid back in. You could do a contract where, like, they will make sure you get a certain amount back after a certain number of years. A Banu wouldn't really understand the concept of a stock market, but they'd understand the concept of a bond market. Bonds are more of their kind of forte. So yeah, there's lots of cool stuff. Like this is the concept of the Sloma. Sloma is a it's like a. Have you ever done a suicide with at like a burger place? Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say a suicide? You take like a self-serve cup and you just go with like every single one of all the sodas. Yeah, it's that. Only instead of a suicide, or there was a drinking game when I was in college we used to do, where you like would pour a little bit into the cup at the very middle, in the middle, and then whoever lost the game would have to drink it. So that's the thing we don't know. They do trade in UEC, but the lore team has said in the past that, you know, in reality, the Banu would also trade in their own currency of whatever that would be. Though, to be fair, the Banu do not have a centralized government, so their currency might be very fractured if they have local currency. It'll be like local currency that will be made by the currency Suli, which will be accepted only on that, like, flotilla or on that planet, or even in that city, and not even be in any other places. In Australia, there's a pub that bottles whatever grog's left over at the end of the night and calls it Dr. Jurd's Jungle Juice, and it's surprisingly excellent. Well, Sloma is, okay, Sloma, because it's funnier, but Sloma is where during a negotiation, if you're making a negotiation, you're doing some trade deals with the Banu, they'll hand you a Sloma. And the Sloma is a kettle. It's like an electric kettle. And you're expected to take something that you have and put it in the Sloma. And everyone who's negotiating puts something to the Sloma. So it's like everyone's adding to the conversation. Everyone's adding to this deal. And at the end, once you've negotiated the deal, everyone shakes on it, or everyone agrees. They don't shake on it, but everyone agrees, okay, we're going to do a deal. Everyone drinks the Sloma. So everyone has to drink the Sloma, no matter what it is. You know, usually it's like spices, sometimes like tea leaves and stuff like that. There's actually a couple of references in the language guide, which is like, don't put rust that you find inside your canteen, potato chips, or breath mints in the Sloma. As if like specific examples of what people have done to Sloma in the past. It's like, because you're going to have to drink it. And the other one was, be careful if you put alcohol in the Sloma, because it will hit you. Fascinating. I'm going to be doing an entire breakdown of Banu society, of Banu culture, and how they function as a species, and what their kind of their whole place is. Because I read through this because I'm doing a video for Saturday, which is the First Contact, the history of First Contact with the UEE, the three major players, General Neil Solokovich, Sokolvich, General Neil Sokovich, Vernon Tarr, and Jerry. Those three people are super important for First Contact. and breaking down who they are, the kind of situation that the UNE was in, the type, what the Banu were like, how they interacted, what the cost was, and how it eventually led to the first negotiated peace treaty between the two species, and how it almost started an interstellar war. Here's a fun idea. Put strychnine into Sloma. It kills humans, but not the Banu. I don't think the Banu would appreciate that, because they're doing the deals with the humans for a reason. Currencies be damned. That will be the equivalent of UEC with the Banu. Yeah. They use the UEC as a currency. It's recognized by all the Banu because they deal in it too with UEC, with UEE. So, how many defenders are supposed to fit in a BMM? I think it's one. Might be two, but I think it's one. Hey, Nova. Welcome back. There you go. You found it. Sloma. I didn't know there was a Galactopedia article for it. There's actually, you've seen this before. So that's what a Sloma kettle looks like. It's a beverage that often consumed by the Banu before they begin negotiation process for new business deals or during various social gatherings. Sloma is made up of a base liquid that is then altered to the addition of disparate ingredients brought to the table by everyone involved in the given social situation. After the concoction brews for a few moments, the resulting beverage is called Sloma. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. That's actually going to put it on there. Since they were initially encountered, Banu have usually open negotiations, be they political, business related, or otherwise, with the creation and consumption of Sloma. The first Banu-human interstellar peace and trade accord was hashed out over Sloma, created from ingredients contributed by General Neil Skokovich and the Protectorate Trade Esosuli, among others. Because the Banu do not keep historical records, there's no definitive evidence that points to the origin of the practice. The Esosuli present at the first peace and trade accord, when asked about the Sloma, simply replied that this was how things were done. And the human and the Xeno anthropologists believe that the practice likely began before either civilization encountered the Banu, meaning both the Xian and humans, when they've interacted with the Banu, their first recorded interactions with the Banu involved Sloma. So Sloma is one of the oldest practices that they know of. Yeah, the vessel is actually called the Slomadon, ornate decorated vessel in which the Sloma is prepared. It will partially be filled with one of the variety of carrier liquids. Water is a common one. Once the Slomadon has been opened, each participant of the deal or meeting will add something to it. Spice is one of the more popular additives, as it is light, easy to carry, and can significantly alter the Sloma's flavor. However, anything that is safe to eat or drink is acceptable. This can create unique flavors. Banu safely consume food that is dangerous for humans, Xian, and Tevarin, so it's a good idea to request everyone bring ingredients that are respectful for the various dietary limitations, which they do. They love to adapt to humans and other species. They're very adaptable as a culture. After the Sloma has macerated for a few minutes, macerated, macerated, I guess. The host will provide cups into which they will serve the resulting drink. Everyone's expected to partake. Slobodan Milosevic? No. Oh man, 319 took my prospector, but let me keep my Lancer Max. I kind of preferred it the other way around. Someone added peanut butter, then someone dies, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm sure there have been quite snafus. Yeah. I've never heard that term before. Even as a bartender, I never heard that term before.
Macerate.
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 I've heard of muddling. I know what muddling is. Yeah, Banu can consume pretty much anything. They've been known to eat bones. They tend to not like things that are not flavorful. They have a term for it's kind of like excellence. It's called the Rita. It's got an N before it, and usually if there's an N before it, it usually is a silent N. So it's like an Rita, but it's like Drita, which is basically something they use for like something that's very flavorful, very, very textured, or good aromas, or good in general. It's like awesome. It's like their version of awesome. Can mean a lot of different things. They would like a Happy Meal and the package it came in and the toy. Muddling? Isn't macerate what you do? Isn't macerate to do with soaking? I think so. Because that's what it's in there. How you doing, Al? You can't hide yourself, Al, with your other name. I just called somebody out that I'm probably screwed up on. Masticate. Yeah, kind of like that. As a Norwegian, I think we could offer the Banu quite unique flavors. I'm sure they'd love rotten fish. Steeping or soaking. Yeah, I think it was steeping. But I think in this case, it's supposed to, like, boil. Wasn't hiding, he's just the one that Twitch always logs me into. How you doing now? Hey, Revan. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a big kind of cultural breakdown of the Banu there, Al, as a video. So what if we added a cat? I don't think it would be very pleasing. And I think it would be very disturbing for the Banu. You might have saw me in the game the other day. I was in the game on Wednesday for a little bit, very early in my day. So getting over COVID. Oh, whew. COVID can suck, especially in the middle of school year. Can a deal be called off if you do the wrong things? Yeah, if you don't drink it, everyone's got to drink it. And if not everyone drinks it, then the deal's off. How often do you actually play Star Citizen? Usually twice a week. Recently, I've been staying away from it because it's just been impossible for me to play. But I played it on Wednesday. I'll play it tomorrow. And I'll play it on Saturday. But usually it's 2 to 3 times a week. But because typically on Sundays we do group play, and the group play we tend to do are things like relic expeditions, and the relics haven't been in the game. We haven't been doing it for a while. Yeah, 319.1 launch, so I'll be going back into doing that a little bit more too. Mass rate is a blender setting. Okay. New patch looks really good. Had no bug yet, but lost stuff with the patch as always. Yeah, they even said that it was going to happen. So. Drop the launch. Yeah, I know what you mean. The stuff might come back. That's okay. Apparently the database is being slow. Yeah, generally speaking, I wouldn't go on launch day, because whenever you go on a patch on drop, when like the day it drops, it usually has lots of issues. Usually takes about a day or two for it to kind of smooth out. New patch, lost a Cyclone, a Centurion, no big deal. That's not too bad. They're carrions, so yeah, they like anything that's partially decomposed. The Xian do. Yeah, they're carrion feeders, yeah. Another reason Old Man Herschel dislikes them. Worse than a Ganny. Bartenders work again. I thought you were talking about me for a moment. I'm like, yes? That's good to know. Hey, Max. I'll let you know. I'll basically say that everything is working in Star Citizen 319.1 until it isn't, and it'll likely work until they do the next big event, and then everything will break. And that'll be the process until it stops breaking when they run events, which may take a patch. It could take 20. We don't know. This isn't the first time CIG has done this sort of cycle. Fun to see you. Good to see you, too. It's working like Star Citizen. They must love that egg thing with the chicken inside. They probably do. See, some think alien like the Xeno threat happens soon. I don't think so. They would have said so already.
So maybe you... It's human anti-alien Meserites. Yeah, that's I know your theory on that there. I mean, by 50 crushed up humans, I mean 50 Cruise Lux. Didn't they say relics are back in the loot pool? They are.
for 319.1. So we'll be doing that for not this Sunday, because I was going to originally do it this Sunday, and then I forgot it's International Bar Citizen Day. So I'll be doing that. I'll be over in Bee Cave with the other folks. So Soylent Cruise. Is there a list of what's on the loot tables? I don't know if CIG publishes them. There might be somewhere on the... some sites may have them, but I don't know which ones they are. May test live 319.1 for a bit. Okay. Nice. Ghost posted on our a bunch of people in our Discord for the League of Relic Enthusiasts have been like the first things they saw, like, we're getting relics back again. So it's like, yes. All right, y'all. I'm going to go use the restroom real quickly. When I come back, we'll start doing the Squadron 42 monthly report read through. So, since it was Alien Week, I figured we'd talk a little bit about the Banu, because they're my favorite species, because they're awesome. You gotta love a Banu. The Banu are an interesting group of individuals. So yeah, I'm going to turn back on this. So if you're on YouTube, mute for a few moments.
Weapons free, y'all.
Drugs.
2 words. Distress. Good news, everyone.
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Drugs.
2 words. Distress bacon.
Drugs.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
You have coin. Kajit as well.
Drugs.
If you have coin.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Weapons free, y'all.
2 words. Distress bacon.
Drugs.
everyone.
2 words. Distress making.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I'm just an old-fashioned
Bounty hunting
cowboy.
is a complicated profession.
Cajitas wares. Cajitas wares. If you have coin.
Two words. Distress making.
Drugs.
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot. Good news, everyone.
Cajitas wares. If you have coin. Cajitas wares. If you have coin.
Two words. Distress bacon.
I'm out.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
All right. I'm gonna give you a few seconds. Stop it. I'm gonna let you get through it. You stopped. We're good. Someone remind me what the name of Astro's favorite ship? Redeemer. Fuck off, Victoria. Fuck off. I thought it was Tavarin that were best tasting aliens. Apparently, they taste like chicken. If you believe the Mezzers, they do. It's the Van Duel that apparently tastes like bacon. All right. You test me, Victoria. You test me. All right, so let's pull up the Squadron 42 monthly report. So if you've never seen a capsule, this is where I kind of talk with the camera specifically. So I'm not going to really react to chat. So if you have something specifically that you want to say to me, wait until I'm finished. Even though I'll do a sign out and say, oh yeah, thanks for watching and all that kind of stuff. I'll mute myself for a few seconds, about 20 seconds until when I'm done, so that I can have that lead out for music. And then I'll cut it, and then we'll answer. I'll talk to you for the last couple of minutes of the last 15, 20 minutes of the stream after that. So, because this is going to take a while. These usually take about 30 minutes to an hour. On average, is about 45 minutes. So, the average is between 40 and 50 minutes. The last one was 55 minutes. The Squad 42 tends to be a little smaller. And so, all right. With that being said, let's go. Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right. Capsule. Like a little, you get it? Because it's the TheAstroPub, and you got it. Welcome. This is a little small section of my Office Hours live stream where I pull out the latest news or my thoughts on certain specific things and record it specifically for YouTube and for podcast format. If you're listening to this on the new Unpodcast, you can always check that out. If you want to see this on podcasts and you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link down below in the description you can use. It should be on apps. It's on Spotify for podcasters. And that goes to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a bunch of other ones as well. So feel free to check that out. It's a great resource for those of you who don't have a lot of bandwidth and don't want to constantly fuddle with YouTube when you're trying to do stuff, because I know a lot of y'all like to listen to this. This is the Squadron 42 Monthly Report. Now, before I get into this, remember, if you enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and I want to hear your thoughts down below, as always. Got to get through all that stuff. But for those of you who don't know, we've been doing this for years now. The concept is that I will read through the entirety of the Squadron 42 Monthly Report. This is not a summary. This is a full breakdown of what is available to read. I always suggest that you read it yourself. There's nothing wrong with summaries, but if you try to rely on summaries to get your information for Star Citizen, you're going to be let down, because there are some things that people will take out of context that will break down on, like, there's just some stuff that's going to happen where that person who's doing the summary has to summarize it. So they're going to have to take what they think is the most important and give you that information. And perhaps things that you're looking for is in that monthly report, but you just weren't able to do it because you're relying on the summaries. So that's why I do these read-throughs, because I think it's a service for people who want to have all the information. I'm still going to give my own interpretations and give some context for some of the stuff that's brought up, because we do read this every month. So some stuff I'll see, oh yeah, I've heard about that before, and so on and so forth. That's kind of the prequel. Let's get into this for Squadron 42 for May 2023. So the first thing I'm going to say is this is a different format. This is a brand new format, which, if you watch this later, we'll see, because if you watch this on this coming weekend, when it gets released, be prepared for a video that'll come out next Wednesday of me talking about my theories on what's going on with Squadron 42, and a little bit of history as well. But this is another one of those things kind of adds to that pile. Why did they change the format for Squadron 42, the monthly reports? That seems a weird thing for them to do. But this is the May 2023. Let's start with I'll read the whole thing. This is a cross-posted report that was recently sent out via the monthly Squadron 42 newsletter. We're publishing this a second time as a comm link to make it easier for the community to reference back to. Welcome to the May Squadron 42 monthly report. Enclosed, you'll find details on the latest progress made across the campaign, including capital ship behaviors, buddy AI, and FPS weapon AI. Thank you for your continued support of Squadron 42. AI content. Throughout May, AI content progressed with the remaining medical behaviors tasks. Following this, the full medical flow can now be demonstrated in the behavior test map. Additional animation variations for interacting with cupboards, beds, trays, and sinks, both with and without data pads, were created too. So, once signed off, the behavior will be implemented in the Stanton and Krugari infirmaries. Okay, so infirmary AI behavior. The AI, Krugari is the Krugari, I believe, is the javelin that you're on at some point. I could be wrong. It could be the station that... That could be the station that is the... I'm blanking on the name. The Shubin mining station. I think that's probably what it is. It's probably the Shubin mining station. The Krugari. AI content continued work on the Fight Club Caged Arena last month, implementing the entry bouncer and rush animations for crowd spectators. For the latter, the crowd's intensity varies pre, mid, and post-fight. As part of this, speed quantity fight animations were developed, with data coming from a recent motion capture shoot. Fight Club. That's awesome. And chat's correcting me, that's Archeon Station. That's right, that is called Archeon Station. So the Krugeri's got to be the Javelin. Let me look up what a Krugeri is real quickly. Sorry for this kind of live show, y'all. Live recording. Oh, no. The Krugeri is a Bengal. A Bengal carrier. The UES Krugeri is the Bengal carrier, one of the Bengal carriers from Squadron. I think it's the Bengal carrier that that Admiral Bishop is on. So that's interesting to note that they're working on the Bengal carrier animations or Bengal carrier behaviors. The team also worked on speed processed locomotion animations for the NPCs expressing severe pain. Part of this involving implementing animations for characters standing and locomoting while exhibiting sickness. They then proceeded to implement polished drinking animations into the SIT-050 usable area and created speed drunk locomotion and animations for inebriated NPC movements. Drunk locomotion animations were also created for NPCs holding cups. Finally, AI content implemented mobi-glass and datapad overlay locomotion animations to allow characters to seamlessly interact with digital interfaces. So we got drunk animations for AI, Fight Club animations, and medical behavior AI. Okay. Finally, AI content implemented mobi-glass and datapad overlay locomotion animations to allow characters to seamlessly interact with digital interfaces. Okay. AI features. AI features continued to work on the buddy AI. Now, buddies cheat when finding supplies, looting ammunition that doesn't match their current weapon. They will also fully restock when they do so, replenishing their grenades and medipen. This also finished the first pass of the boss fight that challenges players to counter or block before they can attack, while progress was made on the targeting and melee attacks for key enemy behaviors. Okay, so this is bringing me back to Star Souls, Dark Citizen, Star Souls. I think is what we joked about it. There is a full-blown melee combat that's going on. I am not even kidding. For those of you who don't know, this is a big thing. The Vanduul want to engage in melee. So if you're looking at a Vanduul in game, when you fight them, they will close the distance to try to stab you with their weapons rather than shoot you from distance. And most of your weapons are not going to kill them because their armor, they have natural armor on their bodies, so they'll be able to take a lot of even heavy rounds before going down. So there's a full-blown like animations and like movement animations and all this sort of stuff. A full-blown animation set that they've been working on for Vanduul. There's also another kind of outlaw group, the Screaming Galsons, I think is what they're called, who also have melee combat and prefer a melee combat, who are a big part of the story as well, in some way, shape, or form. I think there may be just side stories, but it'll be interesting to do that. So counter or block before they can attack while progress is made for targeting melee attacks for a key enemy behavior. That sounds like Dark Souls, because we joked about that before, Dark Souls stuff, but yeah. AI features implemented the core components of a systematic and boss fight sniper functionality, enabling the designers to finish off and provide feedback. So we've also got a boss fight that's a sniper. I swear to God, this game is not what anyone thinks it is. And nobody, or very few people, fully go through these things. So it's insane to think about that. And don't think that these boss fights are just going to stick to Squadron. They're going to take some of these ideas and put them in Star Citizen. The end of the boss fight, at something like the Siege of Orison, that's going to be a boss fight. That guy is going to be a lot harder to kill in the future. I can guarantee you they'll take some of these behaviors and put it in there. So that's why it's important to listen to this too, even if you're just interested in Star Citizen. On the animation side, the team wrapped up the performance capture for various features and implemented the full animation set for a collection of characters with a unique combat style. AI Tech. Last month, AI Tech progressed with their final major Squadron 42 features and addressed feedback on older initiatives. People told me that this has a lot of polishing and final. That's a huge final. The final major Squadron 42 features for AI Tech? That's pretty big. That means their AI systems are done. Of course, it says progress, not finished, so who knows? They continue to improve the collision avoidance system to give better results when ground vehicles pass each other or NPCs. They also added support for driving along a predefined route, similar to how NPCs can move along. I'm getting raided, so thank you for that raid. Well, in the middle of this thing, Zero State. Shh, I'm reading the monthly report. Thank you. Thank you. And I hate the Redeemer. Sorry. You're coming in late to this presentation. You got to be quiet and get to the back. Enjoy the hopium. Chat's going crazy, being like, you heard you like the Redeemer. I don't. I really don't. All right. They also added support for driving along predefined loot, similar to how NPCs can move along a path. For this case, the designers can specify certain properties for the route, like the maximum permitted speed, which direction it should be driven, and if it should loop. Work then began on dynamic pathfinding regeneration feature to improve how NPCs find and follow alternative routes. For example, if a hazard, tree falling, vehicle stopping, fire hazard, etc., impacts a navigation mesh triangle, the navigation volume will notify all related paths and check if new requests are submitted. The first stage of this was implementing an anchor structure to keep track of the location's navigation meshes and triangle, which is notified when the triangle is created. These navigation anchors are then used to understand when parts of the triangle are modified and check if new pathfinding is needed. They also saw AI Tech begin investigating and implementing a solution for NPCs entering and exiting ships from EVA using the external doors of an airlock system. For this, they set up a ship and a seat access as a usable to allow NPCs to find their closest entry position point, fly to it, and trigger the right interaction. They also had to account for ships' rotational velocity and allowed NPCs to adjust their orientation as they approach. On the AI tools side, improvements continued for both the usable corridor and Apollo subsumption. For the usable corridor, optimizations were made to code and logic flow. They updated the visuals and changed a new usable data too. For Apollo, the team implemented find references functionality with support for subsumption functions. AI Tech also completed various support tasks, including flow graph nodes for all subsumption assignments to help the designers create scripted AI behaviors. More variable types to use as assignment inputs were added alongside support for usable and tactical point systems. Okay. AI vehicle features. The vehicle team progressed with their ongoing rework with combat AI. For those of you who don't know, they've been overhauling combat AI for vehicles for Squadron 42 for some time. They've already done the full overview, or most of the overhaul for FPS AI, which we saw bits of in last year's CitizenCon. It's gotten a lot better since then. It was already good then. It's gotten a lot better then. Now they're trying to do the same thing with ship AI. And that process is ongoing. But again, once we reach a point where this stuff can even be put into Star Citizen without Star Citizen collapsing on itself, it should improve the overall experience. Last month, they hooked up various events for the AI to react to across the game. This is the final step before integrating the new combat AI into all encounters across Squadron 42. So they're almost done with it. After that, it's playtesting over and over again in situ in the levels of the game so we can judge and adjust difficulty, pacing, and so on to fine-tune the experience. AI team. That AI team is masterful. They've been doing a lot of work, and they're very good at their job. Them and the level design teams I've seen a lot of quick, rapid progression. All the teams are doing really well, but those are the ones that I always see as stand out as like they get on it real quick. The team also improved the logic of how AI ships join splines to make it smoother and more natural looking. Ground avoidance during atmospheric flight was also worked on. The aim is to have the AI try their best to not collide with the ground when in combat while behaving as naturally as possible. Don't hit the ground, it's a good thing. Animation. In May, the animation team worked on various skill level based takedowns, movement in 0G, and swimming. For AI, the team continued creating assets for background actions to give life to various locations. This will continue as levels are playtested. A second enemy class animation style was developed alongside a knife fight and melee enemy class. For those who don't know, there's human melee weapons and equipment. The streaming Galsons are a big use of their melee weapons. And of course, the Vandul are big melee weapon uses. So there's going to be some different varieties of enemies. So you'll see some enemies that will charge you with melee weapons and some enemies which will stay back with weapons. It'll depend on where you are and your situations you're in. The team also continued to create assets for the various behavior lines and wild lines for both combat and non-combat AI. The mocap team spent the majority of the month shooting performances and delivering data for gameplay and cinematics. Very good. Engine. I am not an engine seer. I do not know the will of the Omnissiah. I am not a Starfleet engineer. I cannot turn rocks into replicators. I am me, a simple, smooth-brained bartender who is reading you things from the internet. So I may not know any of the stuff that they're saying in the engine tech stuff. So if you do, let me know down below in the comments so I can translate this tech speak into actual words and understand it a little bit better. That being said, let's get started with that. The core engine team progressed with their work on Starbuild, adding the remaining Linux support. Starbuild is now on feature parity with the old cold build system and will be rolled out to other departments soon. I don't know what Starbuild is, but I know it has something to do with how the game engine, well, it obviously does. I don't know what it is. For the renderer, the team started removing legacy Gen 12 code. There's a lot to remove, but this will result in leaner and easier to maintain renderer code when complete. The core engine team also progressed with generic shape system, adding editor support to save generic as well as remaining shapes. Multiple segments will be added before it's handed to the designers to use. For Mem Replay 2.0, the team are currently adding more features, including file open dialog, faster loading, and async symbol resolving to get it ready for wider use. They're also adding optimizations and continuing to stabilize their feature stream to integrate it back into the main development stream. Last month, the physics team focused on improving bug fixing and bug fixing the new method for tracking unique geometry parts. They then improved cloth simulation for better simulation results, updated the rope and pulley systems, and added cantilever simulation support. Rope tech is super detailed. They've been working on rope tech for years now, really dialing in the rope, and they've been adding a bunch of other stuff. So when you hear people saying like, oh, beams, citizen, it's nothing but beams. It's not, they're doing stuff with rope. There's a lot of stuff they want to do with rope. It's pretty insane. Features, gameplay. Last month, the gameplay features team updated the character customizer. This included adding a new sculpting mode that allows players to select and drag an anchor point on the face to change the size and shape of a particular face zone, such as the nose, ear, and chin. People have been wanting this for years now. A simple sculpting mode. So it looks like we're going to get it in Squadron, which means it'll eventually port over to Star Citizen. Further detailing work was done on the firing range, mostly around joining and leaving. Feedback was also actioned on the UI to integrate it better into the environment. New collectible system was created that players will be able to find, pick up, and stow during gameplay. These items will then populate the player's quarters as part of the collectibles system. That's something they've been working on for a bit, little collectibles. Again, I've heard people say, well, aren't collectibles something you do at the very end of a development? Not necessarily. Every game is developed differently. There's no set rules of what comes in where and when. This important thing is to see how the overall shape of the game is coming out to. Like, what are they working on overall, and are they play testing it? How much of the stuff is done? Portions here and there. And a lot of the stuff we've been seeing over the last couple of months seems to indicate that there is some significant progress made towards a final look, a final collection, like an attempt to put the game together as one whole rather than individual levels and see how it plays, rather than does this function at all, sort of thing. All right. Where were we? The front end also received a new difficulty option. This exposes various modifiers to the AI, health, and weapon attributes to allow the design team to balance the game depending on the player's desired experience. A new feature to allow the designers to create and save damage maps was created too, which enables them to apply pre-damaged areas to ships. Following on from the recent star map work, the team is now developing the area map. This will render a holographic view of a player's current environment, either from within the star map or as part of the visor, with markers for players, characters, mission objectives, and more. Very cool. Features vehicle. Last month, work continued on the control surface flight model. The team implemented special handling for ships in gas-filled zero-G locations, such as gas clouds. While ships still favor thrusters in these situations, they'll experience drag and lift that slightly impacts how they feel. Vehicle features also iterated on UI and VFX for communicating the quantum system state. They also began working on began utilizing in-world VFX for this purpose, which allowed them to pare back the UI. The feedback on this has been positive so far. I'm always a big fan of removing UI, because UI gets really cluttered, especially in CIG's case. The new feature for spawning waves of AI ships inside carriers was ticked off, similar to an FPS spawn closet. Now AI will spawn on landing pads within carriers, take off, and join the fight. This feature can be used to support large battles by naturally spawning ships. Very cool. The Intelligent Flight Control System, the IFCS, received updates last month. That's a pretty big thing. They usually don't touch the IFCS much. For example, the team worked on a bespoke relative throttle that allows for players to assign target velocity when the throttle is untouched. Various quality of life improvements were made to support this, including a trap for setting target speed to 0, a nonlinear rate of change for improved precision at lower speeds, and an improved UI for displaying the throttle. Some throttle work stuff, it looks like. Work on vehicle UI continued, with the team creating a physical hangar terminal for modifying a ship's loadout before missions. This enables players to view an inventory of available weapons and items, compare them against each other, and equip them on the ship, to the ship in the hangar. Very interesting. So they're doing a system specifically for Squadron to like as a kind of loadout manager specifically for the game. I wonder if that will port over to Star Citizen as well. Multifunction displays, MFDs, also received various updates, including a UI pass to make them larger, simpler, and easier to read. The new MFD system also allows players to cast some screens to their visors, with the team changing the layout and aspect ratio of screens when this occurs. This makes better use of screen space and allows for certain elements to be more prominent. Furthermore, after the work last month, MFDs were enabled for wider use in the company. That's something I've been seeing a lot of. There seems to be an emphasis on being able to pull the MFDs off of the MFDs and put it on your HUD. I thought that's what they were doing, and this is the first concrete confirmation that they're trying to do that, which is very cool. So in the past, you could do things like when you targeted an enemy, like on your HUD, you would see pop up the kind of status of that enemy, the shields they're facing, the damage on the ship, all of those things. And then they kind of messed around with it, moved it. It sounds like you can just start pulling those up and put them onto your visor itself if you want to customize it, which is very cool. There's a brand new UI system that they've been working on for Squadron, which is going to port over to Star Citizen, including a star map, which they have yet to fully talk about, which I am assuming we'll see at CitizenCon, because it's been pretty well used by now. It's getting to that point. Most of the MFD system is finished. It now just needs to be to be kind of adapted for everything. So. Gameplay story. Last month, the gameplay story team worked on various scenes involving Stanton's quartermaster. These updates were requested by design with the goal of getting the scenes to integrate properly with AI behavior. The new mocap data was used to update some significant scenes in the medbay, ensuring characters interact correctly with the latest swiveling chair setup. It was great to see these scenes updated to use exactly the same setup as the AI, which should make the scenes very robust and future-proof. Gameplay team. All right, I'm going to do this because you need to understand. They have developed a tech for players to do this. And I'm not kidding. They have a full tool that allows players to spin around in swivel chairs. No joke. Such grace, you know. I was doing nice. I wasn't going to push myself off and then spin around out of control and fall over. I don't want to end up on live stream fails that hard. In May, gameplay story began setting up 8 new scenes, bringing their total to 290. They also polished, pasted, and updated props in several scenes to ensure they were fully up to date. The team also continued their set up operator seats, working to establish proper metrics and solid foundations for these complicated assets. Automated testing of the entities achieved a 100% pass rate, so they can now move on to reviewing, improving, and approving the required animations. I need the AI to react to stuff, yes. Graphics and VFX programming. Graphics feature teams spent the month working on performance improvements and new features, including screen-placed shadows, improvements to quantum jump tunnels, and render texture zone culling. A GPU memory allocator and an upgraded resource cache compiler were among the new performance-boosting upgrades, while evolving temporal super resolution, an automated upscaling system that can now upsample opaque objects, officially passed its first milestone. Global illumination was well underway. So far, the first iterations of a hash map-based radiance cache, ray generation code, and ray tracing prototype were compiled. Improvements to Gen 12's validation error debugger were made to improve the accuracy of bug detection for faster issue assessment. In preparation for deferred render graph execution, Vulkan's frame synchronization was improved. Issues with gaps in pipeline resource sets at bind time were resolved with a remapping update that uses continuous resource set layouts. On the the Planet Tech team started finalizing quantum obstacle generation with generic shapes in asteroid fields. A collision issue detector and wear, dirt, and paint modifiers were also added to the Rastar tool. Rastar tool is the tool that they use to generate planetary outposts, though I think they're also using it for space stations. I could be wrong. I know they're using it on asteroids for asteroid bases as well. So, ongoing improvements to the biome builder will reduce the constant spawn/despawning, which in turn will relieve the physics team of large destruction queues. Water can now be simulated in engine and features a new disturbance component improvements. VFX finished with the new effect setup for quantum travel and are now looking into lighting. Lighting emitters are being refactored to decouple from targeting, and the team is investigating how to use current prototypes to spawn lighting from gas clouds. A crash that occurred when particle emitters attempted to resize using the buffer of 0 was also fixed. Level design. Last month, level design focused on their two main locations, the Stanton and the Kugari capital ships. So the Kugari and the Stanton. The Stanton is the Idris that you're on, and the Kugari is the Bengal carrier that you're on, apparently. Alongside general scene maintenance and bug fixing, they looked into scene handshakes that transition NPCs into their required behaviors. This involved ensuring characters are prepped to transition, are pose matched, have holstered held items, and more. Probably from cutscenes to actual gameplay. They also updated the Stanton's quartermaster scenes to reflect revised AI vendor flow without negatively affecting performance. The team then continued to work on the AI schedules for the Stanton, which has an 80-person crew playing out various behaviors around the ship. With this rollout, we have to keep tabs on NPC's gate crashing scene content. For example, if the player is in a somber scene with a colleague discussing the horrors of war, we don't want an NPC barging in with "Hello, Lieutenant," and jumping into the console. Level design team. That's true. This is another thing they've been working on. So the game is really broken down, and I think it comes down probably further down as well, into three major elements. You have your social elements, your FPS elements, and your flight elements. And that's the way that they look at it. So social is at least a third of the game. So a lot of your time, the reason why you're like, oh, why are they spending so much time on bed deformation or behaviors in a mess hall? It's because that's a third of your game. Socializing with the crew is part of the experience. It's part of what you're supposed to do. You do that in every Chris Roberts game. And that will unlock or change different aspects of the game as well. Depending on how well they like you or not, may determine if they do things or not. Depending on how you've treated them or order them in battle as well. So, not kukuri, it's the kugari, which is a type of lion. It's a sub-Saharan lion. It's called the Panthera leo krugeri. It's krugeri. Like Kruger. Narrative. In May, Narrative held a performance capture shoot focusing on additional combat and social wildlines. The goal was to capture a wide variety of voices to populate the universe while also maximizing the effectiveness of the content so that it remains within a reasonable scope. Narrative also synced with design on their recent gameplay progress to review adjustments and ensure that dialogue continues to function as intended. In some instances, the team made suggestions on how the revised gameplay scenarios could better align with the emotional tone for the moment. For example, if a puzzle scenario occurs during a particularly stressful sequence of the game, narrative design will discuss ways to maintain the emotional underpinning during the puzzle. Meanwhile, progress continued on the text items needed across the entirety of the game, including collectibles, Galactopedia entries, and Mobiglass UI elements. It's good to know. R&D. In May, the R&D team continued improving the temporal renderer mode for atmospheric and volumetric clouds. Additionally, planetary terrain height map generation was optimized to eliminate frame rate hitches. Aside from using a more suitable partitioning schemes for the tessellation of terrain patches, the changes also include a terrain quad viewport calling before further tessellation of the GPU. The resulting height maps are later used to render large terrain shadows and to spawn GPU particles on the ground. UI. The UI, art, and design teams completed their work on modular fluff scenes, getting them up in different UI styles for various locations. They're now ready to be handed over to art and the FPS teams so they can be added to levels. They also implemented new FPS weapon screens for the different brands within the game, and mini-maps, which will bring a significant improvement to in-game navigation. And lastly, VFX. Last month, VFX revisited gas cloud tunnels, working closely with the design and art to create new hazards that can occur inside the tunnel networks. Progress was also made on weapon effects, while support for art and design teams continued across a variety of locations. So, pretty big, I would say. There's a lot of big stuff here. This is the first mention I've seen of the Krugery in the monthly reports. Literally, I have never heard them mention it in the monthly reports. It's been mentioned in a couple of other sources, but not in the monthly reports. They're actively working on a lot of the more fluff scenes, as it were, things that add in more variety. The UI is working on the MFDs. They're working on the, they didn't say the star map, but it's part of the star map. And a lot of these other kind of elements. There's a lot of finalization here. Narrative is going in with design to try to make sure the scenes flow right. We see level design talking again about the Stanton and the Krugery, and making sure everything feels right. We've got the gameplay stories is some of this stuff. I'm seeing a lot of that, but we're seeing a lot of gameplay story elements. We're seeing vehicle behaviors, including improvements to the IFCS, control surface models, UI and VFX communications. With gameplays, we're seeing collectibles as well as the firing range, damage maps, lots of stuff with AI, final work for AI and animations. A lot of this stuff sounds like they're wrapping up. If not wrapping up the game, then wrapping up a major portion of the game, like moving to another phase, maybe. I'm not going to sit here and say that Squadron 42 is entered beta or anything like that. But there's a lot of use of the way that they're talking about it. Feels like they're over the hump of the design and or the technical stuff and are into the design parts of the game. How levels flow, how players interact with one another, how players interact with NPCs, how NPCs should be moving, so on and so forth. So it's some good sign. I would not keep... Don't bust out the champagne yet. You know, this is still could just be hopium right here. So it's important to keep this in mind. And with that, remember to watch us every month. We'll be back next month for another read-through of Squadron 42's monthly report. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button so you can come join us live. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts. Am I just high on hopium, or does that sound pretty final in some cases to you? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, join us live on Thursdays at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive to watch this live and ask your own questions live. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Squadron's coming out soon? Probably not. We're still, in my estimation, about a year and a half or 2.5 years away. Not next fall, but not next winter, but the winter after next would be my estimation. Because while it seems like they're getting stuff done, it's important to remember that games like this require a extensive amount of testing. There's 40 hours of gameplay. And while there is not a ton of variety in the sense of like, it's not an open world, each map, from my understanding, is designed as a means of saying, here's your objective, here's where you are. All you have to do is get to that objective. And so they'll design entire stations or like bases or locations designed for you to approach that objective in many different ways to allow for replayability extensively. That's the overall goal of gameplay for Squadron. So that's going to require a lot of testing. You're going to have people playing the stealth route, playing the shoot 'em up route, any combination of the differences. There'll probably be unique side puzzles that you have to go through that can circumvent larger areas with things like platforming and other things like that. There's a reason why they're going over movement and everything else, because they've completely decided to go crazy with those sorts of things. So, oh yeah, Jake says it's coming out on June 14th, 2023. It's coming out yesterday. How you doing, Jake? Nope, not high on the premium hopium of Star Citizens, aka Evercrack. You don't sample the goods. I'm saying next Monday. Tired as fuck, sick of moving. Don't you have to go back out for the Bar Citizen World Tour? Oh no, you've moved. Did you actually did you finally get your apartment? I'm sorry, buddy. It's a shitty time to move too. It was 108. The heat index was 108 today. Yeah. Jake, I want to tell you this. I believe that this is the same time when I first moved to Austin, and it was like 108 when I first moved in. And Pyro actually helped us move into our apartment. And we were dying, and Pyro was just like, this is fine. Oh, it sucks. It's sticky heat too. It's bad. I'm so sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry. Jake, are you gonna show up to the Bar Citizen on Sunday and just sit down and be like, I'm just gonna sit here now. Feed me beers. Feed me alcohol. Feed me alcohol and food. You want your Banu thing? Come here. You have to come here and I'll give it to you. Oh man. Hopefully everything's good for you though. I'm glad you got your internet up and running pretty quickly. I'm so ready for CitizenCon. I am too. You'll see me there. Yeah, for those of you in not in freedom units, 108 is like 42 degrees Celsius. $42, yeah. Almost 43 degrees Celsius. That's awesome, Jake. I gotta talk to my because we don't get Google where I am, so I have to talk to my another place that seems to be doing fiber, but they're offering me a good deal, so I gotta talk with them. Yes, it's a sign. 42 degrees Celsius. It's a sign that's too goddamn hot. I mean, the difference, Dexterious, is that it's almost illegal for you to not have AC in Texas. It's like you would die if you didn't have AC in Texas. So we have some AC. We have AC, so it's okay. But lordy, it is in the 40s. What do you think, y'all? Do you think I'm high on hopium? This reads like my I want to clamp down on my tinfoil hat. I want to have that tinfoil hat and just like push down on it because it's like this is all telling me things, and I don't want to believe them because I don't want to have hope for them. I don't want to have hope that CIG is going to announce Squadron at CitizenCon. I just want to believe it's still 2 years away indefinitely. It's just easier to deal with that than it is to think that this game might actually come out. Hope is the mind killer, exactly. Hey, Nightcub. We just read through the Squad 42 month report, and there was a lot of finalizing this and integrating that, and there's a lot of like discussions about the feel of the game, which is not something you do when you're building levels. I mean, it is kind of, but not like interdisciplinary discussions about narrative and design on how to make sure that the emotional weight of this thing hits right, kind of thing. Besides, you don't have opium, you use Evercrack. That's the best drink for coping. But yeah, I will say that I started this stream off mad. Not mad at CIG, mad at myself. And I've ended this stream feeling a lot better because of a lot of clarifications that have been made. Like, for instance, that the whole C is not just the whole C in the sense of, like, it's also a brand new way of buying and selling cargo. So a confirmation of cargo timers. And that the whole C isn't you don't just go to a service to buy something and then go get it loaded up. You have to buy stuff at a console and then have it loaded up for you. And from what I gathered, that's what's going to happen for all ships now. Is that you're going to buy something and you're going to have to get it loaded up for you. Which could mean, and this is not confirmed yet because it's not on the release view, but it has been mentioned in the monthly reports in the past, that cargo elevators and cargo decks being a place where you can actually load up your ship might be a thing by 320. That's maybe a bridge too far with the hopium. That might be a tad bit over there. But again, this isn't going to be like you manually loading things on. This is still going to be a cargo timer where it's just going to magically poop into your ship over time. But that's a step that I like. That's a step towards the actual gameplay. This is a Band-Aid solution. It's a step in the right way. We need more stuff about the economy. Yes, we do. Freight elevators got extended on the load map. Let's take a look at that. I usually kind of look at the Delta tracker from Shiny Tracker. Let's go F. Go with freight. All right. All right. So this is freight elevators has been added. End date has been extended from 2023 9/11 to 12/14. EU landing zone added 78 days of work with 1 art dev with 15 tasks. Now, it's important to note that just because it's on this, just because it got extended doesn't mean it's not going to be released while this is still on the roadmap. It still might come out sooner. It just may not be fully added. But just because something finishes on the roadmap also doesn't mean that it's done either. It's a thing to keep in mind for both of these. This is simply the work that has been scheduled to work on it. So, that's the important thing to keep in mind. That does tend to put a little damper on the idea of freight elevators, though. I was hoping this Alien Week would get a proper crack at the Banu Cube, but I guess they're probably done with that. Was that 32 SCU cargo boxes? Yes, I believe those were in the video. Well, someone mentioned the Carrack earlier. That's actually, the timer thing is actually a good point, because I think the timer is a step, it's a Band-Aid solution for loading up the ship. For loading up the ship. That will take time, but it will just plop in there before they actually have to go in and physically work on those modules to make them openable or manipulate them. Y'all a little behind me on the YouTube, but yeah, it's Kruger is a Bengal carrier. So elevators, freight elevators, a 3.1 thing or 4.0, depending on when they comes in. I hope the Evocati can test Squad 42 before release. No, you probably won't. Almost certainly won't. CIG is very protective about the Squadron 42 information, so they almost certainly won't let Evocati test it, because Evocati leaks like a sieve. Okay, let me check what you sent there, Buster. I love it. I love it. Here you go, chat. I haven't seen Strange New World, so I do have to watch it. I still can say I got drunk and burned a couch with Captain Pike. All right, that's my claim to fame. He was in the same fraternity as I was. To be fair, it was because there's nothing to do with the school I went to. So you think we might see separation of replication layer by 320 or during that branch? Possibly. It's definitely something they want to do before 4.0. Maybe very normal behaviors in many colleges. It is very normal behaviors. But he wasn't in college at the time. He was graduated and coming back. As I like to say, I went to the same... I graduated with a degree in theater from the same school that Anson Mount graduated in the school in theater with. All right? I'm just that good at acting. Hey, what's up there? I'm sure it's Fist. What's up there, Fist? Off work. Have a good night there, Nightcom. I'm gonna be finishing this up here shortly, so. How you doing, Fist? Weren't the Freight Elders supposed to be the way that we summon small items? Yes. But there's freight elevators and there's freight... No, cargo decks. Cargo decks is the thing. The cargo deck is going to be how you load in cargo. So like you get cargo, it'll probably poof into the cargo deck, and then in the cargo deck you move that cargo onto a freight elevator to get to a hangar or out onto the deck to load it onto larger ships. How often do you do the org stuff, by the way? Got to get to that museum going. We haven't done anything for a while because it's not been feasible, but we'll start doing it next week. So usually once a week. I'll be trying to do 2 to 3 times a month minimum, but the org runs its stuff as well. So you can make it as an actor, Paul. I'm not that good of an actor. I'm not as good as an actor as many people I know. I didn't really go to the theater to be an actor. I went to theater to do stage production and writing and other things like that. So we need to do a Lore Citizen soon. I just haven't been... I've been relaxing partially and also been busy doing a bunch of writing stuff. So I need to get, and also been doing, because we've had like Starfield stuff came out recently and I had my anniversary. So I've just been busy with that stuff. Hey, Paul, are you going to do any more system survey videos? I plan to. I've just got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I've got to cover. My plan is to do First Contact, a video on First Contact this week, a video on the Banu, kind of like a feature on the Banu for next week. I've also got to finish writing the next complete history of Star Citizen lore and send off all that information to... Uri. I also have to record and edit the update for the Starfield lore stuff that I've done. I also have a video that I've written that I've got to record and edit on Squadron 42 and what's going on with Squadron 42. And then I've got to write and record a video on intro to smuggling. And then, of course, a video on smuggling in 319. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff to do. And then this month I also have to sit down and write probably 2 or 3 more complete history of Star Citizen lore. I want to try to get through the Tavaran War and the foundations of the UEE. So get through the end of the 26th century by before the end of the before I start with school. So that way I have those written and recorded, and Uri can start editing them and putting them together over the next couple of months so that I can release them over, in sequence. So yeah, I'll probably do some system survey videos just because they're pretty easy for me to sit down and plop out. So what else do you think is a good chance of making the 320 branch? Give me some of those, that hopium. Almost certainly tractor beams. Tractor beams, ship tractor beams, the SRV. That shit's almost guaranteed unless something majorly wrong happens. Buster sent me another one for y'all. I love this. I love this meme. We hear you were discussing ships. Humans love breathing. Oh, I'm gonna pull out the Squadron 40, the tinfoil hats. Yeah, Strange World is really good. I've heard good things. I just haven't watched it. I have to be in the right Star Trek mind. Serve him the drink, John Crew. So for those of you who don't know, I have a tradition that I do in the summer that I've got to do probably next week, which is I have yet to complete it, but I have a challenge for myself where I sit down and watch the entirety of the Star Wars official canon. And I mean the entirety of the Star Wars official canon. So you start off with episode 1. Yes, even Solo. Cartoons, TV shows, everything. So you start off with episode 1, then episode 2, then the entirety of the Clone Wars, all seasons. Now, I'm planning on not doing every single episode. I'm planning on doing only the narrative ones. So that's still like 40 episodes. No, the Christmas special isn't canon. Then episode 3, then Bad Batch, then Rebels, then New Hope, then then Solo, then New Hope. No, Solo, then what's after Solo? Rogue One, then New Hope, then Empire, then Jedi, then the entirety of The Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Then I may not do the other one that was released. What was it? There was another kids show that was out there that I don't remember it. Oh yeah, probably do Andor as well. And Obi-Wan. I forgot Obi-Wan exists. I keep forgetting those two exists. Jesus, that's a whole not a summer, that's a whole year. That's a lot of Star Wars. Resistance, that's what it is. I might skip Resistance, because while Resistance is technically canon, it's not my bag. Then Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. Whew. Mandalorian and Book of Mandalorian's friend. Yeah. The Ewok movies are not canon, no. Yeah, I have to do Obi-Wan. So the three things I got to do before the new, the ones that I have to do before A New Hope is Obi-Wan, Rebels, Solo, Rogue One, and Bad Batch are the ones I have to do. Luckily, most of the extended stuff is Clone Wars, and then post Revenge, pre New Hope, and then post Jedi, pre Force Awakens. Like those are the big ones where all the shows and cartoons take place. I'm not going to do all the games. This is only for movies and stuff like that. I did not notice the text scrolls on the right in the Alien Week commercial. All right, I'll be right back. I'll be right back, and then we'll wrap it up. And no, I didn't. I'm muting it. Do not spend your money. So I've done this before. But I've never gotten through Clone Wars. And I think the reason why is because I watch the movies and then the 2 movies, and then I get to Clone Wars and I start watching the Clone Wars, and then I just get bogged down into like 150 episodes. But there is a progression you're supposed to do, and only the lore relevant ones are available. And I think it's like 20 or so episodes from the original series, and then the last 2 seasons, which are like 10 episodes each. So that's not too bad, because each episode is only about 30 minutes. So, and what I do is I sit down like in the morning and I go, all right, I'm going to watch these 2 movies in the morning. So get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, go walk in, do exercise, come back home, and then watch a movie. And then after that movie is over with, take a break, do some stuff, watch the other movie, and then I call that for the day. Like before lunch, and I'll be done. So. As far as canon goes, Resistance just shows what some of the Resistance was up to, like fleet leaders and such. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. It means a lot to me that all of you came here. Thank you for that raid as well. Zero State, I always feel bad when Zero State raids me. He raided me right in the middle of a recording, so it's like, oh, man. Thank you for watching us. I'll be back tomorrow for some Zero to Hero action around the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I want to say. Yeah, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll be going on for a couple of hours, and then after that, we'll call it. And I'll be doing a little early on Saturday as well. I'll probably start around 2 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to have Darj and Naz on, and we're going to talk about the implications of what was happening at ISC. Economy, what needs to happen, good things, bad things, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it was... like I said, it's been a roller coaster because I started off being really disappointed, not in CIG, but in myself for thinking that this meant that and so on and so forth. And then a bunch of people were like, Paul, you're a moron. A CIG staff member has already said that everything you just said was wrong. And I'm like, what? And looked it up. In fact, it is. For those of you who don't know, what I was thinking was that the whole sea could buy stuff on the ground. And that was the only way you could, so like the only way you could get a whole sea filled up is you'd go to like an outpost, land, buy it, and then take off and then go to a station. And I was like, that's stupid. That's real fucking stupid because now the whole sea is competing in the same sort of markets as every other ship in the game. And that's just, it's not what it's supposed to do in the long term. And it's a mistake and blah, 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 blah.